What's that?
I have my food inside.
Oh, hold on. You can't go inside yet. It's a traffic stop.
I'm at my house.
It's a traffic stop. You have to hang tight.
No, I gotta put my food in the fridge.
If you go in the house, I will arrest you for obstruction.
For what?
Obstruction. Resisting without. This is only.
Food in the house.
This is a traffic stop, so you're not free to leave.
No.
You are not free to leave.
No.
You are not free to leave. If you go in the house, understand that's obstruction.
Fucking house, so shut up.
I'm Eddie Coker.
Deputy Aiken, how you doing?
Hey, man. Yeah, I work for HCSO.
He didn't see it. I didn't run it. It's not on video. I'm going to court because you didn't see it.
Relax.
So give me my fucking ticket and go.
Would you
Give me my
relax?
fucking ticket.
Relax.
No, it's harassment.
Is there any way you can give me a one-time professional courtesy if I show you my ID? I'll be sure to let my agency know that if we stop one of you guys, make sure you issue the ticket.
Can I finish?
No, I'm done. Come on, just let me sign.
Can I explain it? You don't have to sign.
Let him.
I don't
let him
care.
talk.
I don't
Just let me
care.
see.
I don't want to hear it. You don't have to. You're free. It's wrong.
When you show a professional courtesy, agency
wrong.
to agency,
It's wrong.
Why are you not?
I
So
work
you got-
for them.
like-
I'm going to get it taken care of. I work for them.
Star 26 traffic stop. Florida 28, Charlie Zulu uniform, Juliet 37, sir. Blue Nissan. Hello, ma'am. So I'm actually doing a traffic stop now.
Why?
I'm trying to stop sign back there.
Did-
Yes, you did.
We didn't.
Yes, you did. Can I have your license, driver's license? Proof of registration?
You have a video of it.
I don't need a video. I saw you do it.
No, you need a video.
No, I don't. I saw you do it.
Sure you did. You're harassment to my neighbors. Well, we'll be going to court because you did not see me do it.
Okay, if you say so.
Okay, I do say so. And I don't know about my insurance. It's somewhere over. Because I know you didn't see shit. I have a perfect driving record, so good luck with that. You guys have been targeting me and targeting me and targeting me because all the fucking neighbors complain. And I'm not doing anything, so I don't know how to get at my insurance. I don't know, whatever. Write me a ticket for my insurance. I don't know. I
Can
can't
you
pull it.
log into it? Or no?
I don't know. I don't know how. I know I'm allowed to have it online, but
Yeah. Do you have, is it Geico, Progressive?
it's AAA.
I know that insurance. Do they have an app for it?
I would think so. I've never had to log into it before. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. There's no way to put their. I don't know. I haven't been pulled over in like 20 years, so I don't know. I have no idea how to do it.
But it's AAA?
Yep.
Okay. Well, just do me a favor, just hang tight till I'm done, okay?
Yep. Harassment.
She was hauling ass. What's that?
I have my food inside.
Oh, hold on. You can't go inside yet. It's a traffic stop.
I'm at my house.
I understand that, but it's a traffic stop. You have to hang tight.
No, I gotta put my food in the fridge.
If you go in the house, I will arrest you for obstruction.
For what?
Obstruction. Resisting without. This is only.
Food in the house.
This is a traffic stop, so you're not free to leave.
No.
You are not free to leave.
No.
You are not free to leave. If you go in the house, understand that
Fucking harassing me. You are.
if you go in the house, I'm just telling you, if you go in the house, that's obstruction. So just hang tight for a couple minutes. That's all I'm asking. If you go in the house, understand that's obstruction.
Fucking house, so shut up.
Okay. Hello, sir.
How's it going?
Not bad, yourself.
Good, good. I'm Eddie Coker.
Deputy Aiken, how you doing?
Hey, man. Yeah, I work for HCSO.
Okay.
So I'm trying to. What happened?
She ran the stop sign.
Constantly call on me. I did not run the stop sign.
Do you have something showing her running the stop sign, or
I saw it.
you saw it?
I saw it.
He didn't see it. run it. It's not on video. You didn't.
So I'm sure, since you know you're
Right.
No, you didn't see it.
I'm sure you know, since you're a deputy, I saw it. I'm telling you, I saw it.
Right.
So
You're wrong.
that's probable cause for me to conduct a traffic stop, which is
You're harassing
what I'm doing.
No.
Relax.
It's fucking harassment.
Relax.
I'm going to court because you didn't see it.
Relax.
So give me my fucking ticket and go.
Would you
Give me my
relax?
fucking ticket.
Relax.
No, it's harassment.
Well, as you can see, that's probable cause to do the stop.
Absolutely.
If she wants to take it to court,
I
if
see where you're
she
coming
can take it to court, that's up to her. There's not much else I can say on that one.
Right. Yeah, is there any way you can give me a one-time professional courtesy if I show you my ID?
I have to. We've been getting complaints in Seven Oaks in general. I'm assuming you've seen a lot of us in Seven Oaks within the last couple of weeks. It's been in general, so because of that, we're enforcing everything.
Okay. Well, I'll be sure to let my agency know that if we stop one of you guys, make sure you issue the ticket.
That's on you.
Okay. All right. All right. Go ahead and write us the ticket. I assume you have her on video running a stop sign. So when we go to court,
I saw it, but she can take it to court. That's
Okay.
fine. So at this point, I mean, she can give her case. I'll give my case.
Okay. That's fine. We'll go ahead and take the ticket then, and we'll take it to court.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
So just give me a couple minutes. Just do me a favor and hang out over there for
Yeah,
me.
sure.
Can I get your name and number and your card?
I will do that once I'm done.
Please hurry.
Wait until I'm done. I'm almost done. Wait until I'm done. I'm almost done.
Tell me again exactly what I
Ran the stop sign.
did. And you saw me.
Yes.
You're lying.
Okay. Okay.
He's just kowtowing to all these fucking bitches that live on the street that complain about me
Okay.
because they got nothing better to do.
Dispatch. Okay. So for the proof of insurance, like you told me the site before, that one all you have to do is just show the proof. I'm
can't
assuming
find
you're
my
going to take. I'm assuming you're going to take it to court anyway.
Yes,
so for
I am.
that
When's the
one,
court date?
you have to call to get the court date.
How do I do that?
Call one of the numbers on the back. Clerk of the court, Pasco Sheriff's Office.
All right.
So for that one, once you prove that you have insurance, I'm sure that you do. But,
I do.
But still,
I don't know.
I got my insurance card in the Jeep.
Can you
Same
go get
thing.
it?
Yeah.
Well, it's too late now.
I mean, I already pulled the number, but it's still all she has to do is show that she has
Let's
it.
get
She
moving
didn't have
on this,
it.
please. Just give it to me.
So that one is literally when, because I'm assuming
All
she's
right.
going to take them to court, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So she would
You didn't
just
see
show.
me do anything.
Relax. Let him go.
She would just show the judge, I had insurance at the
Please,
time.
let's move along,
So the
please.
stop sign. Then you have, I've explained the three options. One, pay the ticket.
No.
Two,
No.
take the course,
No.
in which case you wouldn't get points. Or
No.
three, take it to court.
No, go to court.
You have to make the choice within 30 days for
I've
which
already
one you
made my
choose.
choice. Thank you.
But you,
Okay.
Can I finish?
No, I'm done. Come on, just let me sign.
Can I explain it? You don't have to sign
Let
it.
him-
I don't
let him
care.
talk.
I don't
Just let me.
care.
I just want to explain it to you.
I don't want to hear it. You don't have to. You're free. You don't have to explain.
Can
Let him explain.
I don't want to.
Let him explain.
I
You
just
didn't
want
see
to
me do
explain.
shit, so you know
That's
it.
for court.
Okay.
You're gonna take
Yeah.
me to
All
court,
right.
so
That's the
All right.
let me explain
I
it to
don't
you.
care.
Okay.
No.
Relax.
No.
Relax.
You know, you've been
Relax.
doing this because these bitches on the street keep complaining because they have nothing better to
Okay.
do.
Well, I'm just gonna say it off. If you want to interrupt me, that's on you. Pay the ticket is one. Two,
No.
you can take the
No.
traffic course, in
No.
which case you won't get the
No.
points. The last one is to pick a court or take it to court.
Yes, I will see
You have
that.
30 days to pick whichever one you're gonna do.
Okay.
If by chance you choose to do the
No.
traffic course,
No.
it
I
has to
didn't do
be
anything
done
wrong, so I'm gonna be
within
taken to
30 days, as well as
Okay.
paying the ticket within the 30 days.
Okay.
You understand?
Move along. Okay.
You understand?
Yes, I'm very clear. Okay, can we move this
So
along?
this one, which is the insurance, which I'm assuming you're just going to show your proof, that's 114. This one for the stop sign is 164. Any
I will
questions
not
for
be
me?
doing anything. No, please, let me go.
Good to go.
Do you have a card?
Yes.
You know,
I have proof that I've been targeted.
you go.
I have proof.
I mean, I don't like to make a big deal out of it or anything like that, but I know
It's wrong.
when you show a professional courtesy, agency
wrong.
to agency,
It's wrong.
Why are you not? Just
I'm doing my job.
No,
Nothing.
no, you're not. You're getting complaints from these fucking bitches on the street.
I'm just asking.
No, I
So
work
we got,
for you.
like,
I'm going to get it
here-
taken care of.
here-
I work
No,
for them.
relax.
No.
We've gotten complaints in Seven Oaks in general. I'm sure you've seen within the last couple of weeks, we've been in here a lot. And we've been citing majority of the people. So,
Would you knock it off?
that's why. But again, she could take it to court. That's fine. She has her argument. I'll say my part. And from there, it's up to the judge.
So that's why if she would have been nice and calm and everything like that, the professional courtesy probably would have been done. But since she's upset, it's a POP ticket.
I did not say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
Okay, but just a moment ago, you just motioned to her and said, well, since she's like that.
When did I say that?
Just now. You just now said that. Okay, whatever. I got you. I understand. I completely understand how the system works.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, they're calling, complaining. She was saying you were sitting on this road over here. Nope. So you were sitting next to the stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
And because I guess we're going to try and subpoena your body camera as evidence.
It'll be there too. You'll see where I came from.
Unfortunately, the body camera won't go because of this. Because you just did that. I'm telling you, you just did it. I saw it. And I understand how the POP tickets...
Huh?
Okay, whatever, sir. You can act...
You're confusing me at this point. You got me. Whatever.
That's okay. I got you.
But any questions for me?
She got your card.
Yep. It's got my name. My badge number is actually on the ticket at the bottom. 3942.
And can you write down your direct supervisor?
I'll give you a card too then.
Yeah. Because it seems like you are targeting a little bit. If you didn't see her run the stop sign and you're going based on calls, and then when I asked for professional courtesy, you wave your hand to her and go, well, she's like that. That does seem like it's a little personal.
It's Sergeant Medina.
Okay, cool.
I'll have to call him there. But any other questions?
Yeah, can you call him? Because I'd like to speak to him now.
Hey, you can call him.
So you're unwilling to...
I'm not going to call him.
Okay.
But you can call him.
So you're unwilling to give me a supervisor or anything?
All you have to do is call the supervisor on the back where it says District 2.
So if I'm requesting a supervisor, you're unwilling to...
I'm not unwilling. You can call them.
Well, if you're unwilling, that means you're willing.
You can call them.
So if you're not going to call them, that means you're unwilling.
You can call them.
So you're unwilling to call a supervisor for me if I'm requesting one?
You want a supervisor, you can request
Yes, I'm
one
requesting
via
a supervisor.
dispatch.
If you please call them.
Via dispatch.
So you're not going to call one for me?
I'm not.
Okay, good. All right.
Anything else?
No, man.
Mm.
I hope you know the next Pasco guy has stopped.
Okay, that's fine.
Hello.
Hey, this is Sergeant Formby of the Pasco Sheriff's Office. How you doing?
Hey, how are you doing, sir?
I'm okay. We can help you with.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was expecting a different sergeant, but I guess you'll work. We just had a dealing with a deputy out in front of our house.
Uh-huh.
A Deputy Aiken.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was being a straight up ass. I'm sorry to use that kind of phrase to you and everything like that. Because, I'm a deputy with Hillsborough, and I've been there 15 years. And this guy was straight up ass. I don't know if he's been there, since yesterday or whatever like that, and he's out to save the world or whatever. But let me also start from the beginning.
Hey, you know what? Hey, can you give me just 1 second? Hold on 1 second, sir.
Yeah.
Answer the phone, let him know.
Hey, we're on the other line with that guy real quick. He's calling in to complain. The deputy. Yeah. No, we'll handle it real quick. Yes, basically. He's saying that he was rude or something. But we just literally just called him, so I'll feel it out. Let you know what it is. Yep. All right. Bye.
Are you there, sir?
Yeah.
Hello?
All right. Bye.
Hello, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I had a bit of an issue with my phone. All right, so go ahead. So Deputy Aiken, you had a run-in with him, and he was
Well, I didn't actually have a run-in with him. My wife did.
Oh, okay.
She pulled to the driveway. And I was inside, because today's my day off, and she calls me on the phone and says, hey, can you step outside? I'm dealing with a deputy out here that is treating me like garbage. And I'm like, okay. So I step outside, and the deputy is saying that he saw her run a stop sign in the neighborhood. And she's saying it's impossible. There's no way she ran a stop sign in the neighborhood. So I was like, so I said, hey, trying to be peacemaker here, can I just ask you what you thought? And he goes, okay, well, who are you? And I was like, I'm a deputy with Hillsborough. I'm not trying to impede on you, or I just want to ask, what happened? He's like, sure, I'd be happy to tell you. He goes, your wife ran a stop sign. And I asked him, I was like, so you got on dash cam where you saw it, or what happened? And he goes, well, I saw it. And I was like, well, so you were sitting there? My wife said he was not sitting there. He was like a whole block down, and he came out of a side street, followed her up into the driveway, and then turned his light. And I'm like, okay, well. But anyway, so we go, I'm like, we know there's a neighbor down here. They hate me because I'm a cop. So they call you guys nonstop, saying that I can buy their house in my police car, I'm flipping off their kids in uniform, anything and everything to try and get me in trouble. I sat down with my supervisors at work, and they're like, it's a joke. They know it's a joke. Everybody knows it's a joke. Now they're going after my wife. My wife runs through the neighborhood, speeds through 70 miles an hour, and my wife has a perfect driving record and everything like that. Anyway, get to the part of this dude being a jerk. I'm standing in front of me, and you know how it works. I'm sure, I don't know how the professional courtesy thing works with you guys, but with us, if you ask, you say, hey, I'm a deputy or a police officer or highway patrol or whatever like that, and it's for one-time professional courtesy, and he goes, no, we don't do that. I'm doing my job. And I'm like, okay, well, it's fine. Can I ask why? He goes, when I have to deal with people who are like that, he pointed right at my wife, and I'm like, oh, hold on a minute. What do you mean, people like that? And why are you pointing at my wife? We're going to go to traffic court, and we'll decide, you have no reason to point at my wife like that. He goes, and I was like, listen, dude, I've been doing this job probably before you were born, or you're a teenager. I'm not going to say when you were born. I was like, I know all about the PLP tickets. I know about the PLP arrest. Everybody does them. And he looked at me and he rolled his eyes and smiled and goes, oh, no, sir. I have no idea what you're talking about, sir. And I'm like, okay, well, we're not getting anywhere on this. Can I get your supervisor? He goes, well, I'm not getting my supervisor. You get him. I'm like, okay, well, do you have the number to your supervisor? No, I don't have the number to your supervisor. So I said, you're unwilling to give me your supervisor's information? He goes, no, I'm not unwilling. I'm like, well, sir, you're telling me you're not giving it to me. That means you're unwilling. He goes, call dispatch. They'll get it. I'm like, why are you being like that? I'm simply asking for a supervisor, and you're refusing even to give me a phone number. I'm like, what kind of professional standard is that? I was like, if you want to declare war on our agency, that's fine. The next Pasco guy I stop, I can give him a ticket just fast. But guess what? I won't do it because it's a professional courtesy. It's a professional standard. So I don't appreciate you, one, rolling your eyes at me when you're talking to me, and two, pointing your finger at my wife and lying and referring to her as that. And he's like, well, you got to call my supervisor. And I was like, I'd be happy to. What's your supervisor's number? Call dispatch. They'll give it to you. And he got back in his car. And I'm like, wow. So it's like that now, is it? Listen, dude, I'm not Sarge. I'm not expecting you to kick my ass. I'm not expecting anything. I don't expect you to make the kids go away. But to be treated that way by a fellow deputy is not right. I was referring to him as yes, sir, no, sir. I was being as courteous with him as I am with you right now until he pointed at my wife and said, until I have to deal with that. And I'm like, That's not right.
I'm here. I'm just letting you finish. Is that everything? Is that
That's it.
the complaint? Oh, okay. All right. Well, as far as the professional courtesy thing goes, if there's any,
that's fine. You know, cops ask for it. Everybody does. I can't tell you how many times I've had a highway patrolman look at me and go, dude, can I get a professional courtesy just one time? I'm like, yeah, whatever. You know, it's what we do for each other, but I don't expect it. I don't expect it.
well, if
What I
you
don't like
be
is
asked
treating
for.
me that way.
Let me ask you this though. I gave you a chance to talk, and I'm trying to respond to you now, but you just cut me off within like 2 words of me responding back to you. So I just want to make sure we can have a proper communication. We have to have a sender and a receiver. So
Right.
I just want to make sure that now I get to kind of rebut some of the things that you said and address them with you,
Sure.
and then we'll just keep going back and forth. All right. So as far as the professional courtesy thing goes, I think it's a undocumented but well-known practice that's occurred from time to time, but it should never be expected. And as far as our agency goes, if there's anything that we pride ourselves with the most, it's the fact that we do hold each other accountable, and probably to a higher standard than everyone else. I think the fact
I
that
disagree with that, but go ahead.
I think the fact that the deputy spoke with you in the first place on a traffic stop that didn't involve you, that in and of itself was pretty courteous of him, because I wouldn't have entertained that. I would have done my traffic stop first, and then I'd have came and talked to you afterwards. That's just because that's how I handle my business. So I don't find that to be inappropriate.
Okay.
As far as the declaring war on your agency, we're not ever doing that. That's quite absurd to me. I don't think that's something that I would.
He shook his head and he said yes and said okay.
He said yes, that he's declaring war on your agency?
Yeah. I said, well, fine, dude. You want to declare war on our agency? We can do that. And he shook his head up and down and goes, that's fine.
But what would make you say that, though? Like what?
You know, Sarge, no disrespect to you, but I'm just going to take my complaint to the ethics committee with you guys as agency, and we're just going to roll with that.
Yeah, okay. Well, just before you do,
Because I
understand that
the
sir. Well, I'm not going to give you your way, but understand that the deputy uses. They have body cameras, so just be
Good.
very
I
careful
hope he
about the
does.
things that you accuse him of saying and not saying, because they better be accurate.
That's fine.
All right.
Please access. And I hope the ethics committee or ethical standards has access to, but this guy was slick.
And of course,
I mean,
they have access to it, sir. Right? It's mandated by the
Yes,
agency.
and because when he referred
and the
to
other
my wife
thing
as
is,
that,
he didn't give you the supervisor's number, because that would be inappropriate as well. You would need to contact dispatch and get that. We don't hand out phone numbers to other people on the street. That's not inappropriate. So, or that is
I
not
assume
appropriate.
it's okay to give me the supervisor's name.
Yeah, he could have given you a name. But he may not have known which one would be calling you back. So, that's something that we could address with him in the future. He probably could have given you at least somebody to ask for. But you did say that you were expecting a different sergeant, which makes me believe that maybe you did have somebody to ask for.
Yeah, he gave me a Sergeant Matias.
Well, there you go. He gave you the sergeant's name. So, just a minute ago you told me that he didn't give you a name, but he did.
All right, Sergeant. I appreciate you calling me, but because I can tell that. I mean, I respect the fact that you have your deputy's back.
Oh Lord, that's the second Hillsborough deputy I've had tell me that. No, it's not about that. It's just that your story is inconsistent, and I'm just pointing that out to you.
Okay. I mean, I understand. I understand you guys are backing each. I got it. I understand. You're backing up your deputy, and I respect it. I really do. But so we'll just check it to ethical standards and let them deal with it.
All righty. Is there anything else I can do for you?
No, sir.
All right. Have a good day, sir.
Today's date is Monday, June 25th, 2018. The current time is approximately 16:06 hours. Location of this interview is at the Wiregrass substation for the Pasco County Sheriff's Office. Present for this interview is myself, Master Detective Danny Johnson, ABN number 4536. And sir, can you state your name, rank, and agency for the record, please?
Certainly. Captain Tate Sanborn, Pasco Sheriff's Office.
And Captain Sanborn, can you spell your first and last name for the record, please?
T-A-I-T. It's Tate, my first name. Last name is Sanborn, S-A-N-B-O-R-N.
And Captain Sanborn, you're aware of this interview is being audio recorded?
Yes, sir.
And prior to this interview, did you have an opportunity to read, review, and sign a perjury affidavit?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any questions on that?
No, sir.
All right, if you'll raise your right hand as a notary of the state of Florida, I'm going to place you under oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
All right, if you'll sign there on the bottom, and if you'll put time for the oath of 16:07 hours. The purpose of this interview is in relation to Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office Internal Affairs Case Number I-2018-027. Captain Sanborn, before we get started, can you just explain how long you've been with the Pasco Sheriff's Office, where you're currently assigned, and what your day-to-day duties are?
Certainly, I've been with the Pasco Sheriff's Office since December of 2003. I'm currently assigned as the District 2 Field Operations Commander. District 2 covers the range, generally speaking, from US 41 east to Polk County, from Hillsborough County to Hernando. And as the Field Operations Commander, I run all patrol, essentially street crimes and property crimes units within the district.
Okay. So prior to our interview, we kind of talked about it, but it's my understanding that as a district commander, sometimes you get involved with neighborhoods, HOA meetings, stuff like that, and you go as a representative of the sheriff's office. And it's my understanding that you you went to a HOA meeting or some type of formal meeting within the subdivision. Can you kind of go into that, how you got involved and what you learned?
Certainly. The fairly large community, they historically have had very good relationship with the sheriff's office. Every once in a while, they frequently employ contract deputies. They also have a very good both an HOA and a CDD. In this particular case, my involvement came from one of our newly promoted sergeants, Sergeant Denbo, does some website work for a couple of different HOAs as part of an authorized off-duty employment. And so he's got very good connections. His family also lived in there when he was growing up in high school. And so he's got very good connections to the HOA and the CDD leadership. And we had started getting a lot of feedback, primarily through him initially, that there were some traffic concerns within the area. I initiated some conversations with the CDD president and the HOA president. Both of them acknowledged that there were some traffic complaints, some on the main roads, and I was sort of pointed in the direction of a particular complaint that was in one of the specific communities involving a lady that was repetitively driving too fast, driving erratically, doing some things on purpose to aggravate her neighbors, and so wanted to have a meeting. Wanted to attend one of the HOA meetings in order to hear the concerns firsthand from the community.
Now, it's my understanding that there was a lot of Facebook posts or something to that effect about that.
Yes, I became aware of those. The community itself within, right, there was some back and forth on the Facebook page. They were expressing some of their concerns. They were communicating it amongst themselves. And again, those are not necessarily anonymous per se, but they have a little bit of anonymity, and I wanted to make sure that I was available to the members of the community here firsthand what their concerns were, as opposed to second and third hand through social media outlets. Because it's not the most reliable source of information, I wanted to make sure that I had an opportunity to go face-to-face with some people.
Okay. And so while you're there, did this family or this particular female that apparently is driving erratic, and I focus on this, were there any particulars that came up about her husband and her husband's employment or concerns from the community?
Certainly. When I went to the HOA meeting, it was populated almost entirely by the HOA board on the one side of the table, and on the other side in the audience was, I think with maybe one exception, it was entirely neighbors from, by my rough estimate, there was 25 or so people there, which is significantly higher than most of the HOA meetings that I go to. Even when I'm kind of touted as a guest speaker, usual attendance somewhere sits around the 10 to 12 area. And to see all of those individuals come from a particular subset of the overall was relatively surprising. As we started to get into the details of the conversation, it was very clear that there was a lot of frustration some of that frustration was directed at me as a representative of the sheriff's office, because the lady in question, according to members of the community, kind of presented herself as there was also an equal concern that her husband was a deputy sheriff with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and that maybe there was an agreement, some sort of, for lack of a better term, professional courtesy or something, that we were somehow cutting these people a break because of their connections to and the Hillsborough Sheriff's Office.
Okay. And based upon that meeting, was there a direction that members of your district, deputies under your command, were kind of
Certainly
guided to do?
So again, it's very unusual to get that many people at a community meeting. It's very unusual to get that many people all upset about the very same thing. And so that lends a significant amount of credibility to their complaint. So as anybody would do, it was my responsibility to validate that complaint. I would receive multiple video clips that seemed to validate it. So I had asked a couple of the deputies, Corporal Denbo at the time, who's been promoted to sergeant since then, Deputy Aiken, specifically to go ahead and keep a close eye on the neighborhood, particularly the interior areas there, on just to validate the concern, and obviously to take any sort of enforcement action that became necessary, because what we can't have is the community members thinking that we're somehow trying to protect somebody for any reason, because that would cause them to lose confidence in our agency, and we're not going to have that. So.
Okay. I think that pretty much covers my questions. Is there anything else that you would like to add for the record to this, or is there any type of anything you'd like to clarify?
So again, not particularly. The process is pretty straightforward. I had heard about some complaints within the community from Corporal Denbo, who's got close ties to the community. I went to the meeting in order to validate those complaints. The sheer number and amount of frustration, in my opinion, went a long ways towards validating those complaints. And then Deputy Aiken's personal observation of driving. The only thing that I would add is that it was very disappointing to see the behavior of the Coker family towards Deputy Aiken. It was very clear that they didn't necessarily want to have anything to do with him, and it was extremely disappointing to see the way that Mr. Coker presented himself. As somebody that's tied into law enforcement, I would have assumed that he would understand that that's not the proper way to go about it.
Okay. Is there anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Then I will conclude this interview at 16:15 hours. Today's date is Wednesday, June 20th. The current time is approximately 16:14 hours. Location of this interview is at the Pasco County Sheriff's Office, Wiregrass Substation, located in Wesley Chapel, Florida. Present at this interview is myself, Master Detective Danny Johnson, ABN number 4536. And sir, can you state your name and badge number for the record, please?
Deputy Duriel Aiken, badge number 3942.
And can you spell your first and last name for the record, please?
Durriel, last name Aiken.
Okay. And Deputy Aiken, you're employed with the Pasco County Sheriff's Office, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware that this interview is being audio recorded?
Yes.
And have you had a chance to read, sign, and do you fully understand the perjury affidavit that I presented to you prior to the interview?
Yes.
And the purpose of this interview is in relation to Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office Internal Affairs case number I-2018. In that, are you tasked with special assignments and different things like that?
Yes.
Okay. And recently, it's my understanding, and based on our conversation prior to the recording, you guys have been assigned to, or maybe just you individually, due to some complaints about traffic. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
So, kind of in your own words and in story form, tell me how this all started.
Initially, there were complaints, and at one point, now Sergeant Dembo received information that there was a traffic violator. For him, he was informed that a blue Nissan SUV would continuously speed, run stop sign and whatnot within, even though there are kids driving, or not driving, kids outside playing, because it's a neighborhood.
Right.
And there was a white female driver, and then at some point after that, we ended up going to a HOA meeting. It was myself, Captain Sanborn, and Lieutenant Troy.
So let me ask you this: what you guys received the complaint? There's been ongoing traffic issue. Is it normal for you guys to go to an HOA meeting for traffic violations, or what was special about this?
I believe that one of the main reasons why for the HOA meeting, because it was so continuous and it had been going on for so long, and then the fact that the person in question driving and the husband was a deputy in Hillsborough.
Okay. So prior to this meeting, or was it prior to this meeting that you learned that her husband was employed by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, or is it at the meeting that you learned this?
I believe I learned it at the meeting.
Okay.
But others may have known, but...
Okay. For your purposes, you found out at the meeting.
Yeah.
So what I want to focus on is primarily, what was some of the concerns by the neighbors? What was brought up? Was there anything unusual about this HOA meeting? Was it just a couple people? Tell me about that.
There was roughly maybe 25 people at the HOA meeting, which I've never seen that many people at a HOA meeting. And alone, I would say roughly 20 of the people there were all.
Okay.
And each person was talking about the same vehicle, which is a Nissan Rogue, I believe, blue. And it was the same person driving it, which her name.
Okay.
They ended up mentioning that she was, and her husband, Ed or Eddie, was a deputy with Hillsborough.
Okay.
They gave concerns that one reason why nothing has happened to them was because of their affiliation with law enforcement.
Okay.
And they just kept trying, and that's how we ended up getting to the meeting.
Okay. So there at the meeting, you learn the Cokers. They're both affiliated with law enforcement. The neighbors are out in force, and that they're concerned that nothing has happened to them because of their affiliation.
Yes.
Okay. Did they make, and I understand, focus mainly on our employee, so Deputy Coker, was there anything specific mentioned about him, any concerns that he made, any statements to neighbors, or anything that you recall that was brought up during that meeting?
There was a post brought up at one point after the Cokers got an injunction against one of the neighbors.
Okay.
Because one of the neighbors actually went to go talk to them and try to get them to slow down, basically. And the Cokers ended up getting I think it was a repeat violence injunction.
Okay.
And at the final court hearing, or the whatever hearing for both sides to be given, to my understanding, the injunction they got rid of it.
Okay.
But made a post, and Eddie allegedly made a post. I have a copy of the post that was made also.
On Facebook, or on some sort of social media platform?
Some form of social media.
Okay, all right. And do you, off the top of your head, remember exactly what the post said?
In reference to one of the neighbors who was heavyset, in a sense, calling her fat, not so many terms, and then I don't remember the rest of the statement.
Okay, all right. So, and this was against the neighbor that basically had gotten an injunction against them?
No, not that neighbor. It's a different neighbor.
Okay.
But it started after the neighbor that they got the injunction against.
Okay. All right. So, if I'm understanding you correctly, it basically sounds like that the Cokers live in there as well?
Yes.
Okay. It seems like that the neighbors consistently all agree that there's an issue with this one family, and it's the Cokers.
Yes.
Okay. Did they mention anything about Deputy Coker making any comments about him being in law enforcement? Making any comments about using his status with the sheriff's office or his employment with the sheriff's office to influence anything or anything like that? Was there anything mentioned by the neighbors to you that you can recall?
That I can't recall.
Okay. So as this meeting goes on, what was the general consensus, or what was there an action plan developed after that, or you know, or kind of a direction that you guys, and when I say you guys, Pasco Sheriff's Office were going towards?
Yes.
Okay. Are you able, you know, discuss that? So, is there anything you're able to talk about?
Basically, do traffic enforcement
Okay.
within, and I mean, go from there. If by chance we see this car violating some form of a traffic law, and then pull it over, go from
Okay.
there.
So at this point, the action plan is to, there's a lot of complaint about traffic, so we're going to go in there and let's just enforce traffic within there, and hopefully that may resolve the issue. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yes.
Okay. I know at some point in this investigation, we were provided body cam footage from you. Was that your first encounter with the Cokers, or have you had a prior encounter with them?
That was my first encounter.
Okay. Do you know of anybody else, any other deputies, or anybody assigned to your squad that has had an encounter with them that was negative?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want-
Specifically, Deputy Coker. Did the Deputy Coker act in the way that he did with you, with any other deputy that you can recall?
No.
Okay. Like I said, the video speaks for itself, but is there anything that wasn't on video or anything that you feel you would like to add?
I know after my encounter with him, he actually called to complain on me,
Oh, really? Okay.
and he spoke to Sergeant Denbo.
Okay. Do you know the details of that complaint or the information? Or?
All I know is from what's in the call,
Okay.
which said that I was rude and I was scary.
Okay.
Other than that, I can't remember what was specifically said in the notes.
Okay. So Sergeant Denbo would be the best person to speak with about that complaint. Okay.
Yes.
Is there an active complaint right now that you can speak of, or is that pretty much handled?
With that, I don't know.
Okay, all right, no problem. His actions that day toward you, and you know, telling you that he would have Hillsborough deputies stop you and issue tickets to other Pasco deputies and making statements to that effect. What are your thoughts on that? Like, or do you feel he was professional in his encounter with you, or tell me your personal opinion?
Personally, I don't think it was professional at all. I think that was his tactic in order to try to threaten me and coerce me into not citing his wife.
Okay. Is there anything else that we haven't discussed that you'd like to add?
Until I can think of right now.
Okay. If there's nothing else, then I'll conclude the interview at today's date's Thursday, June 21st. The current time is approximately 17 hours. Location of this interview is at the Wiregrass Mall substation for the Pasco County Sheriff's Office in Wesley Chapel, Florida. Present for this interview is myself, Master Detective Danny Johnson, ABN number 4536. And sir, can you state your name and badge number for the record, please?
Yep, Sergeant Andrew Denbo, Pasco Sheriff's Office, and it's 3844.
And can you spell your first and last name?
Yep, Andrews, A-N-D-R-E-W. Last name's Denbo, D-E-N-B-O.
Okay, and just again to reiterate, Sergeant Denbo, you work for the Pasco County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Okay. And the purpose of this interview is in relation to Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office Internal Affairs Case Number I-2018-027. Were you your current assignment as a sergeant? Have you been that in the last 6 months or?
No, only the last couple of weeks. Prior to that, I was.
Okay. So what I'd like to talk about is when you were. It's my understanding, based on conversations that we've had, that you became involved, or you initiated, or you somehow responded out to within in reference to some complaints by residents there.
Correct.
Can you just kind of in story form tell me how that got started and what the issue was?
Yep. The neighborhood is an HOA and CDD neighborhood, and their board members and representatives have my contact information through my role as a reached out to me and asked that I looked into an issue that was developing in their neighborhood that involved a traffic violator, who later learned through investigation is short summary of their complaint is that they felt on a daily basis for the last several months that she was driving her blue SUV down the street in a manner that was reckless. It put the kids in danger, and then they felt that it was harassment. That basically every day she would run stop signs, she would accelerate, squeal her tires, things like that. They felt that that there was enough of a concern there that they had tried some different things that hadn't worked out for them, and they wanted to know if the sheriff's office could come out and do some enforcement of the stop signs and check speeding, things like that. Or if nothing else, just have a conversation with her and see if she can stop her driving pattern and things like that.
Okay. So what were your actions in the beginning of this?
So, with all complaints, we want to validate that there is actually an issue. So we went out and we did approximately 2 weeks of traffic enforcement throughout the entire community. So while we were doing that, we kind of just looked to see if there's any pocket areas where there's particular problems. And we also met with homeowners. We drove around the neighborhoods and we kind of solicited feedback. Is there an area that you guys have problems in? During that process, I was introduced to Sarah as her first name. I believe her last name might be Brown, but I'm not sure. But Sarah is a resident of the same street as the Coker family, and I was introduced to her, and I was asked to kind of go out and meet with her because she was kind of spearheading a lot of the collection of videos from all the neighbors and things like that. So while my team was out doing the traffic enforcement, I actually went out and sat down with her in her house and met with her about the issue, specific to her husband down at the end of their street. So she lives probably 10, 15 houses down the street from them, and she had very specific concerns.
And you spoke with several neighbors.
I did
during that time as well.
Yeah, I spoke with, I would estimate, at least 5 to 6 different neighbors on the street.
And what was the general consensus of the neighbors?
They were concerned about a couple things, but mainly her driving, but also what had happened that when they tried to do the neighborly thing and go out and talk to them about it. Just the fact that one of their neighbors went over to confront him about it and ended up with a restraining order and had to hire an attorney and go to court and things like that. They were scared. They felt that his position as a deputy sheriff or whatever his role was.
Deputy Coker, her husband.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, they felt that he was. They knew he was a law enforcement officer, and they felt that there would be issues if they reported things to law enforcement. They said that's some of the reason that they hadn't contacted the Pasco Sheriff's Office about the issue. They said that some of their previous conversations had led them to believe that he was a patrol officer, and several of them work in the Hillsborough County area, so they were concerned about that. They didn't cite specifically why they were concerned, but they said that they were concerned that if they went down there might be some kind of retribution for them making reports against him and things like that. They said at one point they sat down as a community and they decided to send a letter to the Hillsborough Sheriff's Office regarding this issue. I haven't personally read the letter, but I heard that they did send a letter about it.
Okay.
And then I reviewed, I want to say, 30 or more videos of these alleged traffic violations going on.
Okay.
And I found that the videos did reflect that there was obviously issues with the driving.
Okay. Now, the driving like that, does it appear to just, and the issues appear to only be, or does it also, is Deputy Coker involved in this as well?
I don't know that he's involved in the driving. I mean, the testimony I got from all the neighbors was that she is the primary driver of the blue vehicle.
Okay.
But I can't make out from the videos who's driving and who's not.
Okay. Is there anything else that we haven't discussed that you feel is relevant to add, or anything that you'd like to clarify for the record?
No, I mean, in summary, I think the neighborhood out there, their biggest concern, which was kind of echoed when I was a participant in the interview that Sergeant Formby did with over the phone with Mr. Coker, Deputy Coker.
Okay,
and
this is after the,
correct.
Just for the record. Yeah. So the traffic stop occurs with Deputy Aiken, and now after the traffic stop, our Deputy Coker,
correct,
calls Pasco County Sheriff's Office to complain on Deputy Aiken. Sergeant Formby is Deputy Aiken's supervisor, and you were in the vehicle or right there next to him.
Right. So I at the time I still was. I was in training for the sergeant position I occupy now, and at that time Sergeant Formby was the shift supervisor that was out. He's not his immediate supervisor, but he was the one that generally that's how we handle complaints. They go to whoever's on duty. Sergeant is not normally on duty, at those hours. So Basically, he took the complaint over the phone, and I heard the conversation that was going back between Sergeant Formby and Deputy Coker, and based on hearing that conversation, it kind of validated the concerns that some of these people had in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Because he did allude several times to even to us as law enforcement officers that that you're starting some kind of war between the Hillsborough Sheriff's Office and the Pasco Sheriff's Office, and alluded that we needed to be careful when we sped through the Hillsborough County, things like that. He made so I could it validated that there's that there's obviously something there, and then I know he alluded to us that he was a patrol deputy that worked in law enforcement at that time. He stated at least once he stated that he had a patrol car and that people would give him looks on the street when he came down the street. And the reason that his neighbors didn't like him is because he was a police officer and things like that. So.
Okay.
That's about it. I can't think of anything else.
All right. If there's nothing else, then I'll conclude the interview at 18:26. Today's date is June 27th, 2018. The current time is approximately 12:06 hours. Present at this interview is myself, Master Detective Danny Johnson, ABN 4536.
Detective Kevin Shea, ABN 214369.
And sir, can you state your name and ABN for the record, please?
Dwayne Coker.
All right. And is it okay if I call you Dwayne?
Yes, sir.
All right. And Dwayne, are you aware this interview is being audio recorded? Before we get started, how long have you been employed with the Sheriff's Office and in what capacity?
I'm a detention deputy. I work over at Falkenberg Road Jail, and I've been there since 2006.
Okay, so roughly 12 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay. During your time with the Sheriff's Office, have you, has the entire time been at Falkenberg Road Jail, or have you worked anywhere else here within the Sheriff's Office?
Yes, sir. I worked over at Orient Road Jail.
Okay. So Orient Road and Falkenberg. Any special assignments, or just been working the pods?
Hospital duty, booking. I've done transport of inmates from the hospital and between jails. I've done pretty much, and currently I'm working in the lockdown unit.
Okay.
So I've pretty much done a little bit of everything.
So currently in lockdown. Were you in transportation?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I have transported inmates to and from the hospital and between the jails.
All right. Prior to coming to the Sheriff's Office, I didn't insult you, but 12 years, you're not fresh out of high school. What did you do prior to coming here?
I was in the Marine Corps.
Okay. How long were you in the Marines?
7 years.
7 years? Okay. What did you do in there?
I was an infantry, just plain old grunt.
Okay. For the whole 7 years?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And prior to the Marine Corps, what'd you do?
I worked for a finance company. Before the Marine Corps?
Yes, sir.
I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school.
Okay. So right out of high school, you spent 7 years in the Marines, and then you started working here?
No, sir. I went to college.
Okay. All right. So the Marine Corps, college, and the Sheriff's Office. So
yes, sir.
Maybe miscellaneous jobs in
Working
between.
my way through school. Yes, sir. I was on it seemed like the lifetime program because I could only go part-time.
Yeah.
And it took me quite a while to graduate.
No problem. So other than the Sheriff's Office and the Marine Corps, any kind of law enforcement agency that you've worked for?
I worked for the University of Tampa, which is their security.
Okay. Remember what years you worked there?
While I was going through school, so probably I graduated in 04, probably from 99 to 03,
okay.
2000 03, something like that.
And that's not a law enforcement position, that's more of just a security. Am I correct in that?
I believe they were considered reserves.
Did you go to any kind of law enforcement academy?
No, sir.
Okay, no law enforcement training?
No, sir.
For that? Okay.
No, sir.
Have you ever been a law enforcement officer?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you ever been assigned a marked HCSO vehicle?
I've driven vehicles in transportation capacities, but never been assigned a vehicle, no, sir.
Okay. Nothing that you would take home, your transportation vehicle?
No, sir.
Any type of, have you ever conducted a traffic stop?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you ever testified at court in regards to a criminal matter, whether it be traffic, misdemeanor traffic, civil traffic, any type of crime like that?
Yes, sir. I have testified in court.
Okay.
Regarding.
As it relates to your position in the jail?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And answering subpoenas.
Okay. Have you had any training or extensive knowledge of Chapter 316 of the Florida State Statutes regarding traffic?
No, sir. I have no idea what that is. So. No,
Okay.
sir.
No problem. You've had an opportunity to kind of review everything that's happened, and the main focus of this investigation is basically an interaction that you had with the Pasco County Sheriff's Office during a traffic stop of your wife.
Yes, sir.
And then your actions afterwards.
Yes, sir.
And that's the main focus of this. There are some other things that have come to light, but the main focus is that. So with that being said, you've reviewed body cam footage, you reviewed phone calls made by you. Do you feel you've done anything wrong?
I feel like I overreacted. Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell me how.
Well, the one thing that's not evident on the body camera video is like when I was having my number one. Let me start from the beginning because I'm extremely nervous and I'm getting like. But anyway, right from the very beginning, the traffic stop was in my driveway.
Okay.
So that's why I came out in the beginning.
Okay.
And I guess the main thing that got me a little upset was when he referred to my wife as I have to deal with that, and he pointed right at her.
You watched the body cam footage, right?
Yes, sir.
And after watching that, that's what you feel happened?
Well, yes, sir. I know I was standing right in front of him, and the thing that's not evident in the body...
Well, let me stop you there.
Okay.
Let me interrupt you. Let's touch on that then. So, for the record, what I'm showing you here is, and there's other things that I'm going to touch on that traffic stop, but let's look at this real quick. So we're going to talk about when you allege that Deputy Akins with the Pasco County Sheriff's Office allegedly says that's why I have to deal with that.
That.
And he points at your wife.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's your testimony.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here's what I want you to read, and I want you to read it. This is verbatim transcripts from that. Okay. And just as you're reading this, what I want you to do is, it'll show here like the blue highlights are you, says Deputy Coker. The yellow highlights will say Pasco Deputy, and the pink highlights. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to read this verbatim for the record, and then when you say before you read what they said, make sure it's put. This is what the Pasco Deputy said. This is what the Pasco Deputy said. This is what I said.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You understand what I'm instructing you to do? Okay. Starting right here, I want you to read. This is what the Pasco Deputy said. Read that for the record. And actually, I'm sorry. Let me preface this. So, to kind of put this into context, you've asked the Pasco Deputy, Deputy Akins, for professional courtesy, not to write your wife a ticket.
Yes, sir.
He's explained to you that he's just doing his job. You're upset that he's not giving you professional courtesy. You're going back and forth. He's telling you why that he's not going to give you professional courtesy. So I want you to start off with a yellow highlight. Pasco Deputy Akins. This is his statement.
Pasco Deputy, I'm sure you've seen within the last couple of weeks, we've been here a lot. And we've been citing a majority of people. You want me to read?
Yeah, this is what your wife says.
Kathy.
Fucking nigger. Pasco Deputy, so...
That's you, I'm sorry.
Myself, would you knock it off?
Kathy.
Pasco Deputy, so that's why, but again, she could take it to court, that's fine. She has her argument, I'll say my part, and from there it's up to the judge. So, myself, Coker, Deputy Coker, so that's why if she would have been nice and calm and everything, that the professional courtesy probably would have been done, but since she's upset, It's a POP ticket.
Okay. So that's the interaction where you say that Deputy Akins points at your wife and says, I had to deal with that. That's what your statement is. But what really happened is he's explaining to you why he can't give you professional courtesy. He's explaining to you, look, we've gotten complaints to come out here to do traffic stops. We've been asked to come out here a lot. We're citing people. In the middle of his statement, your wife throws out the racial slur and calls him, and quoting her, a fucking nigger. He stutters. You look at your wife and go, would you knock it off? And then as he's trying to explain, so that's why, and he's explaining to you, because your wife interrupted him by calling him that, that's what happened. He wasn't insulting your wife. Actually, it's the exact opposite. Is your wife referred to him as a racial slur. Do you approve of that?
Absolutely not. No, sir.
Did you hear her say that?
No, I did not.
So the first time you were aware of that is right now.
Exactly.
Did you not notice that when you watched the body cam video?
I thought it was more, I did hear that, but I thought it was like at the end when she was walking inside.
She may have been walking inside, but she threw that out there, and that was during that time.
I honestly don't remember. I don't remember seeing that before she walked inside.
Because here's my concern, Deputy Coker, is your wife calls him that. That was uncomfortable for you to read.
Absolutely.
That was uncomfortable for you to read.
Because that word is...
But yeah. Oh, yeah. So the issue I have is you tell her to stop, so you heard her. Now, whether it registered what she said or not, but what it appears, what the perception of it is, she says that, you tell her to be quiet, and then you continue to demand professional courtesy from Deputy Akins. And then you start getting onto him saying that he's insulting your wife. That's an issue. And the first thing that I saw when I see this is, I think the average person, if they heard that and they disapproved of that type of language, would be to go, you know what, look, I'm sorry, that's not her, she's frustrated, or make some sort of excuse or apologize or something, but you don't do that.
I honestly didn't hear that before. I mean, can I read further down in the transcript? Because I don't remember hearing that at that point at all.
So you've watched the video?
Yes, sir.
That's the point. That's the point where he says that. Because then you start going into, you just looked at her and said that. And he's like, I didn't. And he says, when did I say that? And you continue on, and that's where you start getting into him about that. You see an issue?
Definitely, yes, sir. And
so
I honestly do not remember hearing that, though. I don't.
Okay. So you feel you overreacted, but you felt that he insulted your wife. So now that we've established he didn't insult your wife, and it was actually the complete opposite, what else do you feel you've done wrong?
Actually, I should not even got involved. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't even have got involved. And I take ownership of that, and I accept responsibility that I should not have even gotten involved. I should have told her, you know, you deal with this, I'll take the rest of the groceries in, I'll do whatever needs to be done in that aspect. But I thought I could help my wife. She was obviously upset, and...
I mean, look, your wife's an adult, and there's nothing you can do about what comes out of her mouth and her actions, and you know, I don't expect you to be responsible for her actions, okay?
Yes, sir.
What we expect you to do is, when you identify yourself as a deputy with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, to act in an appropriate professional manner. Do you feel you acted that way?
No, sir. Like I said, I should have stayed completely out of it. It wasn't my place. But she's my wife. I thought I could help her. Even on the video, you can see where I'm still not sure how he saw her run a stop sign. Because the following day, we actually retained an attorney. And even our attorney has driven the route and goes, there's no way he saw anything in reference to
Let me
it.
ask
But anyway, we're getting off.
Well, let me ask you this. Based on your wife's actions, okay,
Yes, sir.
That you've seen how your wife reacted. Do you feel that she was appropriate in her actions?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Do you feel that maybe she could be mistaken?
Mistaken for?
That she did run a stop sign? I mean, is it plausible based on her reaction?
I'm going strictly by what she told me.
Right.
She's told me that she didn't run the stop sign, so he didn't see her run a stop sign, And he feels like, based on the constant complaints, and even in the information I was given that I was reviewing, the complaints in the HOA meeting, which that's a whole other kettle of fish that I hope we actually get a chance to get to, I'm going by strictly what she said. And she feels like she was targeted. And that's why we retained an attorney the next day to fight this in court. And even the attorney we retained has stated, we think you were targeted.
Okay. Well, if your wife, and the complaint basically is that your wife is erratically driving through a neighborhood. They have video of your wife doing that. So, which is triggered. There were other complaints about traffic from what we're understanding, but the main crux of it is there are people in your neighborhood that are concerned about the driving. You saw the video that's in there.
Yes, sir.
Your vehicle, whether it's you driving, is in that video, is it you driving?
That's definitely not my vehicle.
Well, it's a blue Nissan Rogue.
And I wanted to bring that up to you. It seems like I'm just referring to my note.
So let me ask you this.
Sure.
All of the neighbors say that that's your car. It matches your car. I'm not saying you were driving, but it matches your car. And the neighbors are saying that. All right? People are writing to that. So are you saying that there's a conspiracy by your neighborhood to gang up on the Cokers?
I don't know. But I know in a couple of those videos, it looks like a black vehicle. If you go back to the original report that was sent over to the sheriff's office via email, we had a meeting with Major 80 right after we received that report. And in that report, it says it's a black SUV. It's reported as a black SUV driving through the neighborhood.
Okay.
Neither one of us driving a black SUV.
Well,
So maybe the neighbors are mistaken. I don't know.
Okay.
A couple of those videos are very difficult to see.
Well, here's my thing.
Sure.
Here's my thing with you. I would like to give you the benefit of the doubt, but would you say in your interactions with Pasco, from the traffic stop all the way to the phone call to their comm center and the phone call to the sergeant to file a complaint, do you feel you were completely truthful in all of those?
As I saw it, yes, sir.
Saw it.
I think I may have overreacted.
Okay, so you feel that you were truthful, but you didn't overreact. I mean, you overreacted, but you were truthful in all of it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me stop you there. So when you tell, when you call the comm center, and you tell them, you're a 15-year deputy, this is my work cell that I have specifically for work, and you start inferring that you work on the street, would that be a truth or a lie?
I don't work on the street, so...
Correct. So, and then when you tell Sergeant Formby, when you file your complaint, that when you drive your patrol car home, and that when you've done traffic stops on highway patrolmen and they ask you for professional courtesy all the time, would you say that's a truth or a lie?
I honestly don't remember saying I stopped highway patrolmen.
You did?
I've been stopped by the highway patrol, and I asked for professional courtesy like about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, but you refer to stopping highway patrolmen in that video and asking for a professional courtesy. And they've asked you for a professional courtesy, and you give it all the time. You infer that you're going to basically, you try to say that Deputy Aikens said that he was starting a war with Hillsborough County, and there was going to be a war between Pasco and Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. You state that you're gonna next time you stop a Pasco deputy, you're gonna write him a ticket. Well, if you work in the jail, you don't have a patrol car. How are you going to stop someone?
I'm not going to stop anyone.
But you said it. So were you being truthful or untruthful in that statement?
If that's the case, then I was being untruthful.
Okay. When you make reference that in your patrol car, if the neighbors are all against you, and as you drive down the street in your patrol car, they allege that you're giving them the bird, and they don't like cops. Would that be a truth or a lie?
But when I drive home in my car,
No. Your patrol car. You specifically said patrol car. Detective Shea and I both watched these videos numerous times. You said patrol car. And you referred to that, and you basically referred to yourself and made it appear that you were a law enforcement deputy out on the street.
Well, I apologize if that's how I made it appear, because that's not the case.
I know it's not the case, but that's what you did.
I apologize for that.
Why would you do that?
That was not my intent.
So what was your intent?
Basically, when I drive home, I'm in my uniform.
No, but what is your intent in trying to portray yourself as a law enforcement deputy on the street and telling Pasco County that?
I didn't think I was trying to portray myself as a law enforcement deputy.
So what do you think you're doing when you tell them that when you conduct traffic stops and you drive your patrol car home, and that you're gonna, and next time you do a traffic stop, you're gonna write past every Pasco guy is gonna write a ticket? What are you trying to do? If it's not your intent to portray yourself as a law enforcement deputy, what are you trying to do?
I'm not sure. I mean, all I can tell is that at the point I was trying to help my wife, and I was pissed off because of the way this guy was rolling his eyes and the way he made that gesture towards my wife.
Well, we've shown that gesture that was not at your wife, and if I gotta tell you, I've watched that video I don't know how many times, and that Deputy Aiken, was absolutely the utmost professional to you and your wife. As your wife sat there and berated him and berated him and berated him and called him a racial slur, you're threatening him and other Pasco County deputies. He was the utmost professional. But yet then you double down and you call the comm center and you say this guy's scary, that you making up these complaints about him, and then they transfer you over to then the sergeant calls you and the sergeant reaches out to you, and then you just go all in with this. You go all in. And you say, you know what, I'm going to take this bluff and I'm going to go all in with it. And you allege that you call this guy, he was an ass, was an absolute ass to you. You insult him and say that he's been serving since yesterday. I've been there 15 years. I don't expect to get treated this way. You make references that that you've conducted traffic stops on highway patrolmen. You feel that professional courtesy should have been given. All these things. Why? That's the big question, is why? To get your wife out of a ticket? Was that why?
I mean, when you say why, which question would you like me to...
Why are you untruthful, and why are you making up these things to the Pasco County Sheriff's Office?
Making up these things?
Yes,
One, he did gesture towards my wife and say we have to deal with that.
No, he didn't. I just showed you the transcript. Deputy Coker, I just gave you the transcript. We read it. We read it verbatim. You watched the video. He did not do that. I'm dumbfounded by this. My concern is, here's the biggest thing out of all of this, because realistically, to interview you for this investigation, it's all on video. It's all recorded.
Yes, sir.
The thing I've got to figure out at this point is, do I have a deputy that works here for the sheriff's office that is untruthful and will take untruthfulness to get his wife out of a ticket? Or do you lack such self-awareness and delusional when you get upset that you can't maintain any facts? Because here's the problem. The facts are there, sir. The facts are there, Dwayne. All there. We got it transcribed. I had it transcribed. I had you read it. You read it verbatim. He never insulted your wife. Never insulted your wife. He never pointed to your wife and called her that. He was in the middle of talking and explaining why he had to write a ticket. And when your wife called him a racial slur, he stopped. It caught him off guard. You told her to stop, and as he continues, he was finishing his sentence. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened.
Because when I was taking my notations when we were watching that video, I even made it in my notation that he refers to her. He makes a gesture and
Dwayne,
he goes...
then what were you watching in there? Because it's nothing that we gave you. If that's what you saw, then I have concerns about that. I have concerns about your observations. You're in a controlled, sterile environment, an office to yourself. You had all the time in the world that you needed to review that stuff, and that's what you pick out of. Even though I just showed you the transcript, you just read it verbatim. We put it in context.
Yes, sir.
But yet you still argue that he said that, and he didn't. What about the other stuff? That he was an absolute ass. Oh, this guy's slick. Things like that. And that you, in fact, and then you claim that he was pulling teeth to get him to give you a card and a sergeant's name and all these things. In fact, the Sergeant Formby with Pasco, called you out on it because you alleged that he never gave you any supervisor's name, but pointed out at the beginning of that phone call, you made the statement, well, this wasn't the supervisor I expected. So clearly you had a name.
Yes, sir.
And I watched him. I watched the video. He wrote all the information down and gave it to you. You were upset because he wouldn't call the supervisor for you. He told you to call the comm center, and that was the appropriate way to do it. You just didn't like that. And then you tried to trip him up and says, well, you're unwilling and willing and do that. And he looked at it and he goes, sir, I don't know what you're talking about. You got me, I guess. But there's the information. He provided that to you. You even said it on the phone call to the comm center when you called to get a hold of a sergeant that he wrote it too tiny for you to read. And then you tell the sergeant when he does call you back, well, he never provided that information. You're portraying Deputy Aiken as all these things, and he really wasn't. Is that what you truly perceived?
All I can tell you, sir, is what happened.
Okay, but answer the question. Is that what you truly perceived? That Deputy Aikens was this just mean, aggressive, rude deputy. Is that what you truly perceived?
Did I say he was mean, aggressive, and rude?
No, but that's how you portrayed him. You may not have used those exact words, but that's how you portrayed him. I believe you stated, he's an ass. He's an ass. This guy's slick. He's scary. He was rude to my wife. These are things that you said.
Mm-hmm.
So is that how you really perceived him?
Well, between the eye rolling and when he made that gesture towards my wife.
Which we said he didn't. Which we've proven he didn't towards your wife. Let me ask you this. Do you feel it was... and another thing that bothered me in this is when you came out and it was either in the phone call to their comm center or the supervisor, you make the statement that, you came out to, and I believe it was something to the effect of the peacekeeper or something to that effect. Maybe not of those, but basically to keep the peace between your wife and Deputy Aikens, okay, to kind of maybe mediate and bring some civility to it. That traffic stop was none of your business. In fact, Deputy Aiken gave you and your wife a lot of latitude. Because any type of, if you've ever done a traffic stop, one of the things is your wife would have been told to stand at the rear of the vehicle or sit inside the passenger and don't move. She is legally being detained.
Yes, sir.
You should have never been allowed up there. But he entertained you. He allowed you to come up there. He spoke with you. That traffic stop, I believe, was about 18 minutes. And quite frankly, it was about 15 minutes too long. But that's my opinion.
And I agree.
Because your wife ran him through the ringer. And he maintained his composure. If anything, I wouldn't be concerned about your Deputy Aiken pointing to your wife. I would have concern with my wife treating a fellow deputy that way. Because that was completely uncalled for. But like I said, she's an adult and there's nothing you can do about that. Alright? But that's just absolutely horrendous. But you see those actions. You see what he stops her for. You admittedly to yourself, you didn't even know what Chapter 316 is in Florida State statutes dealing with traffic and the criminal violations. You feel that he has to have you on video in order to do that. He saw you. He saw her do it. You're more than welcome to take it to court. That's well within your right. Gave you the option. But that video is going to get played in court.
Okay.
Do what you want, but that whole video is going to get played in court. Everything. Did you ever read the ticket? Did you ever look at the ticket?
Yes, sir.
So you didn't notice when he wrote on there, wrote on the citation, called me an F and N. You didn't notice he notated that?
Called me an F and N?
Yeah. So when you look at the traffic citation that he wrote your wife, because a lot of times we'll write comments on there. So went in there, so for the one that he put, no proof of insurance, / called me, and then the N-word. Never noticed that? You never noticed that on the?
Yes, sir. I read it. When I was reviewing it, I read the ticket. It just threw me off when you said he called me an F and M.
Sorry, that's what your wife said. What he wrote on the ticket was called me the N-word. He wrote them on both citations. That never struck you as, man, why would he put that on there? That didn't make you wonder? Because you said that was, when I pointed that out to you, that was the first time you'd ever seen that. But now, it's on the citation, and you're saying you never noticed that. That stands out like a sore thumb. It's right next to the reason why they stopped.
Yes, sir. I even wrote it down in my notes.
Did you show your attorney that?
Yeah, he has the ticket.
He never asked you about that?
No, sir.
And you've never checked out a vehicle, an HCSO vehicle, and driven it home?
No, sir.
Do you have a duty belt?
Yes, sir.
Like the one that the guys on the street wear, full duty belt, firearm, taser, or maybe not taser, but the basket weave, Uncle Mike's, or whatever it is now. You have one of those?
With the holster and everything?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You have one of those that's issued to you?
It's not issued to me. I had to purchase it myself.
You purchased it yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. The duty belt, I purchased the holster when we went to the new holster. The rest of the duty belt was issued to me.
They didn't issue?
Like the handcuff case, the pepper spray case.
I'm not talking about the nylon Uncle Mike's one that you wear in the jail. I'm talking about the duty belt that's the basket weave, similar to exactly like the one that the guys on the street wear, the law enforcement wears. Do you have one of those?
I'm not sure what duty belt you're talking about, so I can't say.
Have you ever noticed any of the street deputies? You ever pay attention to the guys on the street here at the sheriff's office?
No, sir.
How about the outside security guys? You ever see those guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you notice they have the full duty belt. It's that black basket weave. It's completely different than that nylon plain duty belt that you guys wear in the jail. You know the two different duty belts?
I never really paid much attention to it, to be honest.
You've never seen that?
I mean, I've probably seen it, I just didn't pay any attention to it.
Do you have one?
A duty belt? Yes, sir.
Okay. The basket weave style?
No, sir. I have the one from Uncle Mike.
It's like plain nylon?
It's the nylon. It's like this. It has the belt or the buckle in the front.
So you don't have the other one?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Why did you... What authority do you feel you have here at the sheriff's office to tell Deputy Aiken that I'm going to go back to my agency and tell everybody to write passcode tickets? What authority do you feel you have to make that statement?
I have no authority to make that statement, sir.
Why did you make that statement?
I was pissed, and I made a stupid statement, and I wish I could take it back, but I can't.
Then you tell the sergeant that Deputy Aiken basically said something to the effect of starting a war against us. Why would you say that? He never said it. Why would you say that to the sergeant?
Again, I was pissed off.
So would you say that was an untruthful statement?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Did you lie to the sergeant when you said that Deputy Aiken said that there was going to be a war between our two agencies?
Deputy Aiken never said that.
And that's what you told the sergeant. That's what you told Sergeant Formby on the phone call. And he asked you, why would he say that? I don't know, but I told him do what he has to do, and that was you. You made the statement.
Like I said, if I had to do it all over again, like you said, I would have stayed completely out of it. But I allowed myself. I thought I could help her. Then I got pulled into it. I got pissed off based on a perception, I guess, of what I thought he was doing. And it's, to me, even when you watch his dash cam and you see him, he's coming around a corner at a high rate of speed. To me, she was targeted.
How does that? Do you know their policy on body worn cameras? Are you aware of their policy?
No.
Are you aware of their policy on when they have to turn them on and turn them off?
No, sir.
Okay. So is it plausible that maybe his body worn camera is off, and that as soon as he sees her commit the violation, because he's clearly trying to catch up with her, he turns it on?
Well, even in a body camera, you see him. He's coming around a corner.
Right.
So I'm not sure how he could have seen a stop sign a quarter of a mile away through a series of houses.
It might not have happened there. You understand what I'm saying? The time it takes for him to see that, put the car in gear, try to catch up with her, turn on the body cam. The body cam might have a delay or something when he goes to turn it on. Boom. you can cover a quarter mile pretty quick. And if you hear him, you hear the engine, okay? The engine's revving, so he's having to speed up to catch up to her.
Yes, sir, as he's coming around the corner.
Right. So more than likely, if your wife's traveling, and if she doesn't come to a complete stop, or she's going at a higher rate of speed, he's at a complete stop, it's going to take him a while to catch up. That's why the engine's revving. But see, sir, what I'm getting at is, you're tearing apart a traffic stop that you've never done. You've never done one.
Absolutely.
You've never done one. I can tell you I've done a few. Detective Shea's done a few. And that scenario right there is entirely plausible, because it takes a minute for your brain to recognize it, to act upon it, and start putting things into motion in order to affect that traffic stop.
See, if I understand what you're saying completely, but you don't know the makeup of our neighborhood. It's impossible. I mean, I understand what you're saying. He was sitting in his place. He sees it.
But you don't know where he was sitting. You're going based off your wife.
I'm going based off what I saw on the camera.
Right. But you don't know what happened before the camera went on. And the camera are mounted on their epaulets, on their shoulder. So it's not directly facing that. You realize that, right? The body camera's on his shoulder. Actually, that's a great question here I have for you. When did you realize the body camera was on? Or when did you realize he had a body camera?
I didn't even see a body camera. All I know is that there's...
So it wasn't until the end where you pointed at his body camera and said, we're going to subpoena that. Is that when you realized he had a body camera?
I said you were going to subpoena that?
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. To quote you, and I quote, and you know, because I guess we're going to try and subpoena your body camera as evidence. That's your statement. That's your statement right there. So, was that the point you realized he had a body camera?
I knew that Pasco County, all those guys were body cameras because...
But during this time, did you know he had a body camera on?
I didn't even really think about it there towards, I guess. I don't even... It's just such a blur. I honestly don't even remember saying that.
Because here's the thing that concerns me. You know, when they talk about integrity and they talk about, it's something that you do when nobody else is watching. Mm-hmm. And that's who you are. So you felt nobody was watching at the time because you didn't realize there's a body camera. And that was Dwayne Coker. Right there. That was Dwayne Coker right there. Because, see, your responses to me as far as I made a mistake and all that, they feel canned. They feel prepared. They don't feel... I may be wrong, but that's how it's portrayed to me. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the people listening to this recording will feel differently. But that was the real Dwayne Coker there. And that's what concerns me. Because you didn't realize anybody was watching. Same thing when you called their comm center, and the same thing when you called that sergeant. That you would do anything, you would lie about this deputy in order to get this ticket removed.
I didn't lie about that deputy. I'm going based on what I saw. I mean, you can twist it any way you want it.
There's no twisting, Dwayne. There's no twisting. I heard your words. You're claiming he didn't give you the name of a supervisor. You're lying about your status with the sheriff's office, and referring and that you work the street. You're threatening Deputy Akins with a war against the two agencies. That's Dwayne Coker right there, because Dwayne Coker didn't realize he was being videotaped. Do you realize, let me ask you this, you've been with the sheriff's office for 12 years, I'm sure you watch the news and you're aware of things. Law enforcement gets a bad rap at times because we just, there are things that we do and we deserve to get in trouble for, but there's a lot of times where people just make up stuff about cops, and they get in trouble, and it gets portrayed over the media, and it gets blown way out of proportion, and then when the facts come out, the media never does the retraction story. And so we get a bad rep a lot of times for that. What you did is exactly that. If they had not had those body cameras, Pasco would probably be questioning their deputy. There'd be some things that we'd be curious about with you, but you probably, we look at it and go, well, the guy's been here 12 years, he hasn't had any problems, there's no issues. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't happen that way, and we ask some questions. But it's clear, crystal clear, because we have that. And yet, we read in your emails, you're going to go after this guy, you're filing complaints, you want to call the ethics commission, you're basically calling this guy corrupt when you're clearly in the wrong. So if you're saying that you weren't untruthful and that's what you perceive, then it concerns me about your self-awareness. That you have no self-awareness of what you're doing. Zero. That's a problem. Would you agree?
If that was the case, yes, sir.
So what's the case? You tell me.
Well, what emails are you referring to?
The emails that were in the packet that we gave you prior. But I want you to answer the question. If it's not the case where you lack self-awareness, then what is it? Do you get that much of a rage that you just black out and not know what you're doing?
Absolutely not.
Because that's what you're saying. You were so pissed off that, and now we've got all these things with Pasco.
Well, it's like if in my emails, I went into Pasco's professional standards.
Mm-hmm.
The guy lied on the traffic stop.
How did he lie?
There's no way he saw my wife. There is no way.
Were you in the car with your wife?
No.
Were you in the car with your wife? Where were you at?
I was home.
You were home. You were in the house.
So
the only two people that really know the truth, Deputy Aiken and your wife.
Right.
You take it to court. But if he's saying he saw it,
well,
I've made many traffic stops and written many tickets for things that I personally observed. But he's lying because your wife got the ticket.
No, he's lying because he never saw her stop.
No, you don't know that.
Well, let me show you why I say that.
No.
Oh.
Did you see her drive? Were you in the car with her?
No, sir.
So you don't know that she didn't stop. You don't know. You don't know. You can't definitively say he lied. Period.
And you can definitively say he's telling the truth.
You can't definitively say he lied.
Okay.
You can fight it out in court, and that's what you got to do. You do what you got to do. But let's move on. At this point, I think we've gotten across, and I just don't think you understand the severity of this. But
I absolutely understand the severity of it, but you're also saying too, in my opinion, you're telling me that if I feel like she was stopped illegally, I'm not allowed to look up information to defend ourselves.
You can look up information all you want and take it to court.
That's why I sent her that email.
Okay.
Because based on the Pasco County...
No, you're filing a complaint. But here's the problem. When you call Pasco County Sheriff's Office and you complain on him, you better have your facts right. And you didn't have your facts right. You lied. You lied. Yes, you did. Do you work on the street? Do you work on the street?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you done traffic stops?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you been asked by the Florida Highway Patrol for professional courtesy?
No, sur.
Okay. Have you ever written a POP ticket?
No, sir.
What is a POP ticket?
Pissed off police.
Okay. Who told you that?
I can't remember exactly where I heard it, but it's common knowledge.
Okay. So you've never worked the street. You have no knowledge of how traffic stop works. You have no knowledge of traffic law. But yet you lied and told him that. You lied and you told him that Deputy Aikens was an ass. He was an ass. But he wasn't. We've all watched this video. Let me tell you, we'd be in good shape if that's the way deputies acted on the street, because he was very professional with you, very calm, and I went above and beyond to treat you respectfully. But we're going to move on.
So I'm not allowed to reply?
You will in a minute. When I'm done, I'll give you an opportunity to talk about whatever you want to talk about. So let's talk about your emails. November 4th, 2016, you write to Corporal Ramos, R-A-M-O-S. I was dealing with an idiot and I did not hear you on the radio. Sorry about that. I can almost promise you will have an unhappy F-tard come up to you when you're here today complain. What does F-tard mean?
Fucktard.
Okay. What does that mean?
Like, just an idiot. I mean, I'm not sure how to break it down.
All right. So, did you get Corporal Ramos' response when he said, remember, emails are public record, refrain from using terms like that?
Yes, sir.
Did you continue to use that term?
In talking to Corporal Ramos?
Just anyone.
I think I might have said it in an email to my wife, but I'm not sure.
You've sent in multiple emails. Here's one March 29th of 2017. Warrant on F-tard still in effect. Let's see here.
That's her ex-husband up in Citrus County that is currently $22,000 behind on child support.
Is your email still public record?
Yes, sir.
Is that an offensive term that your corporal told you to stop using?
he advised that I not use that term. Yes, sir.
Okay. And you used it again?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry, I have to get a verbal response to the record to pick it up. So, how about this? Your wife asked you, are you still the Tard Whisperer? Is that a thing that you refer to yourself? Because you write, you bet. So, do you refer to yourself as the Tard Whisperer? Please tell me what that means.
It's like when you work in a, like the psychiatric unit, where there's mostly people who are extremely violent because they suffer from mental illness. Everybody over there refers to them as Tards. Tard Whisperer is meant, like, for instance, if you have one that's violent and no one can speak to him and reach this guy, Tard Whisperers are the ones that can actually go up, get him settled down, have him listen to counseling, and avoid any more issues, such as flooding, breaking sprinkler heads, destroying property.
Do you feel that's appropriate to refer to them as that way?
As a Tard?
Yes. Do you feel that's appropriate?
No, sir. I would never refer to them as a Tard, like to their face or something. So.
But why not?
Because, like you said, it is. I admit it is an offensive.
I don't want to hear what I said. I want to hear how you feel. Do you feel that's offensive?
Yes, sir. I do feel like, but it's the language that we use in the jail.
So that makes it okay?
No, sir. I never said that.
Well, I asked you, and you said, well, that's the language you use in the jail. So if that's the language you use in the jail, does that make it okay?
No, sir.
Okay. So, but you continue to use it. Here's an email from September of 17. Effing Tard spit toothpaste on me and desk. Have an issue with that? Do you think that's appropriate?
I think the inappropriate part is that he came up to my desk
and
spit a mouthful of toothpaste on me.
So as a professional, right? Because that's what we are. We're supposed to be professional, right? Do you feel as a professional, because an inmate acts out, that you don't have to rise above that and be better than that? Is that what you're saying? Because he came up, you can call him an F-tard or an effing tard because he spit on your desk?
I didn't call him an effing tard. I referred to him as an effing tard in my email.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So it's acceptable to say that because he came and spit on your desk.
No, sir.
Then you state, luck as hell, I did not knock his teeth out. But it's a different world we work in now.
Right.
What does that mean?
That's exactly how it says. I refrain from... I mean, imagine you for a moment. Somebody comes up to you on the street and just spits a full-out mouthful of spit in your face.
Right.
So it's never going to cross your mind, I'm going to knock this freaking guy out.
No, I'm going to do my job and I'm going to remain a professional.
So it never crosses your mind if someone spits a mouthful of toothpaste in your face.
Oh, people get angry. Don't get me wrong.
But you're
going to put that in an email? You're going to write that in an email. That's what I should have done. I should have knocked his teeth out. But it's a different world we work in now.
But I didn't. I refrained from doing it.
Right. But it's a different world we work in now. So what changed? Because it's obviously clear that you would have done that, but something changed. So what changed?
Just the fact that I restrained myself. I didn't do it.
But that's not how it's portrayed on here. But it's a different world we work in now. So something changed, or else you would have done it.
I mean, it's a modern era. We don't live and work in the, I guess, like the 1700s. I mean, I don't know.
Let me ask you this. You know emails are public record, right?
Yes, sir.
And that the media could come in at any time and do a public records request, and I want to see all of Deputy Dwayne Coker's emails, right? You know they can do that and make a public records request and get those, right?
No, sir, I didn't know that.
Well, Corporal Ramos told you. Corporal Ramos said emails are public record. Remember that from 2016?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So fast forward. We know that you've known that since at least 2016. And you continue to still use that term. You make statements of, I should have knocked his teeth out. That goes out, the media gets that, and they put that on blast. They put this out. Look what Deputy Coker said. What's the public perception now of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office and Deputy Coker?
Yes, sir, I do see your point of view.
Well, I don't. What's the perception? Tell me, how does the public perceive us?
I think you can perceive it in two different ways. I think one side of the perception could be...
How do you really feel the public perceives that?
Like I was saying, I think you can perceive that in two different ways. You can have one perception of, oh my God, if he would have spit in my face, I would have knocked him out. And then you can have the other side go, well, if he spit in my face, I think it's pretty cool that he didn't knock him out.
Really? That's what you get out of that.
But I think it's, I mean, if someone spits in your face, I don't understand how.
Let me stop you. I'm asking you, if that went public, you refer to this guy as an effing tard, and you should have used excessive force against this guy. That's what you just said. That's what you just said in that email. Because per our use of force policy, if you'd have knocked his teeth out, that's no good at that point, right? You can't do it. It'd be excessive or unnecessary force. So it doesn't. Your reaction wouldn't have matched up. And then you refer to him as an effing tard. So you're telling me that if that went out and the media put that on blast, you would either be revered for your severe restraint, or people would have been like, no, I'd have knocked his teeth out. That's what you get out of it. You don't feel that it would have brought any negative light to our agency.
Yes, sir. I do think it would have brought negative light because just the use of language was, I agree with you, is inappropriate.
And we continue to use that term again and again and again and again. Which causes concern is, how are you talking to people in the jail? Once again, integrity. How you were looked at when nobody else is looking. What are you doing when nobody else is looking? We saw how you act with Pasco. We see what's going on emails that you didn't realize that people can monitor. So what are you doing by yourself in the jail? That's a concern for me. How are you reacting? At one point you said, I feel cowardly for splitting his face open. That was another time where you referred to somebody as that.
I feel cowardly for I don't understand what you mean.
You wrote in an email that you felt cowardly for not splitting a guy's face open. Just goes on and on.
I mean, what did he do to me?
Does it matter?
Absolutely it matters. So you can tell me you're working on the street and someone takes a cup of urine and throws it in your face. It's not going to cross your mind?
No.
I'm asking.
What I'm asking you is, do you feel that's appropriate to put in an email?
No, sir. It's not appropriate to put in an email.
People are going to get angry when stuff like that happens. I get it. But these are the statements that you're making.
But these are emails back and forth.
That are public record.
Yes, sir. I didn't stop to think about that. I thought it was just emails back and forth to friends that I work with.
I'm not really going to touch too much on this whole neighborhood dispute because, quite frankly, that's your personal life. But I'm going to tell you, you're held as a deputy sheriff, whether you work in the jail or the street, to a higher standard. Mm-hmm. You understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
And the way you act and the way you are perceived reflects on us.
Yes, sir.
All right? Because I got to tell you, Pasco County takes that body cam video and they put it on their social media site and go, look at this guy. Look at this lady. Look how they acted. She drops a racial slur. This guy says he's a deputy. He's going to wage war on our other deputies and go from that. Does that affect just you and your wife?
No, sir.
That affects me. That affects him. That affects everybody here at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Everybody. I don't think you realize you made our entire agency look bad with Pasco. You made us look horrible. And quite frankly, I was embarrassed when I saw that. I wasn't even there, and I felt the need to apologize to those guys for your actions that day. Do you understand the severity of that?
Yes, sir.
Deputy Coker, I can't tell you how to live your personal life. It's not my business, and it's not my place. But I would ask that when you're out there in your neighborhood and you're dealing with your neighbors, because it's clearly there's some animosity between all of you, sir, you've got to get some things back in order. Because right now, the perception out there is that, great, we have a deputy down the street, and they just do whatever they want. And that's a reflection on all of us. If you're Dwayne Coker, a private citizen, and not associated with the sheriff's office, hey, look, if you don't get along with your neighbors, whatever, man. But at this point, the two have crossed into each other. And your personal life has bled over into your professional life. And you have to be very careful on how you act when people know that you are a deputy sheriff. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Joanne, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I mean, there's so many things I probably could ask you. It's all on there. Is it okay if Detective Shea asks you some questions?
Absolutely.
Can I ask you a few questions there, Deputy Cougar? I just want to touch on the traffic stop real quick. Your wife drives a blue Nissan Rogue, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're saying that the reports were a black SUV.
The reports that an email that was sent over to Major 80, I believe it was August of 2017, that it referred to the vehicle that was driving at a high rate of speed was a black SUV.
Okay. Have you ever made a mistake in color between a black and a blue vehicle?
I mean, I don't understand how you can make a mistake.
Could they be confused?
Black.
Dark colored SUV?
She doesn't drive a dark colored. She drives a light blue. It's almost like the color on that napkin box right there. It's like a teal, like a bright teal. So I'm not sure how you.
When you watch the videos on YouTube of a car turning that corner, screeching tires, and driving down, do you think that is anybody else except for your wife?
I couldn't see who was driving the vehicle.
Of course, windows are up in this dark tent, or you can't see the driver. I know that. But watching it over and over and over again, you live in the dead end of a cul-de-sac. That's the last stop sign before your house. It's a small left-hand turn bend to your cul-de-sac circle, right to your driveway.
Actually,
is there anyone from that stop sign to that cul-de-sac, your house, that drives a dark-colored SUV? Blue, black, green.
Actually, when you turn to the right on that stop sign and you're coming down towards the cul-de-sac, there's another street that heads down to a different cul-de-sac.
Little right-hand turn.
And I believe
maybe 6, 10 houses in there.
I think it's more like 15 or 20 houses in there. But I think there's a lady over there, or man, I don't know. But I know there's a black SUV that parks over there.
Have you seen her speeding around?
I can't say that I have. No, sir. I'm just saying that these neighbors and everything are basing on a perception on what they think.
They see a car not stop for the stop sign, turn and screech tires in front of kids where it's a neighborhood where kids are playing. If you lived at that intersection and you had kids out front that are screaming every time the dark SUV turns the corner, doesn't stop, beeps at cars not pulling in the driveway fast enough, wouldn't that be concerning?
Absolutely, and I would get the tag number and call the police.
All right, so lots of phone calls made into the police station, made in the sheriff's office, Pasco. Hey, will someone come out here and look for this SUV that's almost hitting kids, driving erratically? Do you think that's a good enough reason to send some deputies out to a neighborhood to see if they see this SUV? May not have a tag. Maybe they drive by too fast. Maybe they don't have a piece of paper and they don't remember it right. But is that a good enough reason for a bunch of Pasco deputies to be sitting in a neighborhood?
Absolutely, I believe so.
Do you think they're targeting somebody?
Based on what I read in the reports, especially at the HOA meeting, these people are throwing my wife's name out there, the address, but at no point, for instance, yesterday, one of our neighbors actually threatened my wife, stopped her in the middle of the street, got out, pinned her in, and threatened her.
All right, and that's an issue with
right.
your HOA and what's going on in the personal life.
Right.
Do you think it's a good enough reason for people to come in?
But what I'm saying is, when that happened, my wife walked to the house in question, took a picture of the tag, came to find out it was an off-duty Tampa police officer. She called in to professional standards and filed a complaint. So if these people are so sure it's my wife driving, and they're so sure it's a light teal instead of a black vehicle, why don't one of them just walk down to the cul-de-sac, take a picture of her tag, and say, this is the vehicle? I don't understand.
I can't answer why people do the things they do or don't do the things they do. But if they're calling the sheriff's office and saying, there's a dark colored SUV that turns a corner, this is SUV that turns a corner and almost hits my kids. We got it on video. We got 10 of them. We'll throw it up on YouTube. Can you see why the sheriff's office would come out there and start watching that intersection? Start looking for this vehicle?
And plus, I mean,
is it personally being targeted, or they're targeting the neighborhood because people are complaining? I mean, that's what we do. The sheriff's office handles complaints from neighborhoods. Our district would send out the motor units to these neighborhoods.
But the complaint very specifically mentions my wife and her vehicle. Very specifically at the HOA meeting mentions my wife and her vehicle. The thing that's not being said is two of the chief complainants. The reason it's in the paperwork when we had a no contact order filed against them, they followed my wife home and threatened to murder her and our children in her front yard. We have photographs of this woman standing at the end of our driveway, holding a broom in her hand, yelling threats and screaming at the front of the house. Yeah. That's one of the main complainers about this.
And maybe she is standing in her driveway.
No, our
watching this
driveway.
car. Hold on. Maybe she is standing in her driveway watching this car fly by her children every day. I don't know. I don't know where the complaints come from, but looking at it from the sheriff's office standpoint for Pasco, isn't that a good enough reason to send some deputies in there to start looking for vehicles? Maybe issue some tickets? Maybe slow down some people?
Yeah, I saw in the paperwork, it looks like several tickets were issued.
Okay, so they're doing their
That's
job.
great. That's a good thing. But I'm just letting you know that one of the chief complainers here actually threatened, and it went to the point where Pasco County, it went to their IA
And
department.
that's nothing to do with this investigation.
It's all here.
The
It's in the
complaint-
paperwork, and part of the paperwork I was told to review.
In regards to why the sheriff's office is out there, you feel like you're being targeted.
I feel like my wife is being targeted, not me.
And the neighborhood is definitely under a closeful eye.
Yes, sir.
He said that on the call to the comm center, when he called to complain, the deputy was scary. What did he do to scare you?
I didn't mean scary as in scared me, like I was afraid. I mean just his, like...
Intimidating?
No, not intimidating. I mean just the way I felt like at the time, and I still do feel like now, that he didn't see her do anything wrong. And he stopped her based on this multitude of so-called complaints that he actually took while he attended an HOA meeting. I mean, what I'm saying is he got all these complaints from these citizens at an HOA meeting. He went by our neighborhood talking to all these residents saying that, my wife is this terrible driver, she's a menace to society. But at no point did he come just ring my doorbell and say, hey, we're getting these complaints about your wife. Can you ask her to slow down?
Did no one notified you of complaints?
The only time that someone did that is when 3 of our neighbors followed her home and threatened to kill her. And I quote, cut her throat. That's the only time. And that's when we went to court, got the restraining order. There wasn't enough evidence to maintain a restraining order, because I guess under the state statute, to maintain a restraining order, you have to have 3 instances regarding the complainant or the recipient of the complaint. We had 2.
So the deputy isn't scary, as you told the dispatcher.
Not in a frightening way, no, sir.
You're insinuating that you're stating he did not see her run a traffic stop.
I don't believe so, no, sir.
So he's a dirty cop. Just making it up.
I mean, yes, if he's stopping someone based on something he did not see, but that's a case for traffic court and the attorney that we've hired and everything like that. That will come out later.
And being in out on the road in the past, and I understand that when anyone writes a citation, there's going to be the 2 sides of the story. Law enforcement is going to say, I witnessed you. You don't need the body camera footage or video. Can't videotape every intersection just to prove on film, because less and less is given to the truthfulness of the officer. You're fortunate that everything that happens in the jail is on video. It's black and white. You can watch it. But in the street, now because of body cameras you can see it, but it's the truthfulness of the officer who took an oath. What would be his gain to write her a ticket if he didn't see it? Why would he lie?
I don't know. That's what we're going to figure out in court, because that's why we've retained an attorney. That attorney has driven the route, because apparently he's...
And then the attorney will handle that.
Right.
I understand.
And even the attorney says there's no way.
Okay.
Unless he has x-ray vision, you could see... So I'm basing that opinion on the fact of what our attorney is telling us, what I saw in the video about him coming around the corner. I respect what you said, but if you would allow me to draw you a diagram of our neighborhood, I could even show you how he couldn't have seen it.
No,
He's basing his opinion on 3 pages of complaints from neighbors.
How do you know that?
Because he
So he's going to say, because I've read all these complaints and I have heard of from your neighborhood and I've attended HOA meetings, that's the reason I'm writing our ticket?
And he's attended these neighbors at their homes, went into their homes, sat down, reviewed all their videos, then went across the street, saw another neighbor, sat down, went across the street, saw another neighbor. If he believed, all he had to do was come to us and say, are you speeding?
And that'll be handled in court.
Right. That's going to be handled in court, and that's why...
It's handled in court.
I mean, if...
When I have a question about the body camera, because you see it, clearly you see it on his shoulder. You say, I guess we're going to subpoena the body camera
Right.
for the video evidence. What are you thinking he's going to do? He's going to be surprised and be like, oh, this is all on camera? I'm going to do away with this ticket?
No.
What did you expect him to do when you mentioned the body camera and mentioned professional courtesy and asking for professional courtesy for your wife?
The professional courtesy part, like I said, if I had to do it over again, I would have never got involved. I completely agree with you there. It was a bad choice on my part to even get involved in this crap, which I should not have.
It all sounds slightly threatening. Like, professional courtesy, where's the professional courtesy? Oh, see, you're pointing to my wife. This is what it's all about? When it clearly wasn't. He's in the middle of a statement explaining to you and your wife, who doesn't want to hear anything except for, I'm taking it to court. And then when she walks away and makes her racial slur, in the middle of how he's explaining to you, who he doesn't have to explain anything to, he's already explained it to her, he's doing a courtesy to you, explaining to you the process. The reason why. We've gotten complaints. We've had a lot of cars in here. We've ticketed a lot of people. Racial slur out of the background. Things are disrupted for 2 seconds. And that's why. And he's not saying that's why to your wife. He's saying, let me finish my statement. And that's why I'm out here writing tickets. But you're so blinded by your wife's anger that, and then making him second guess himself. Oh, well, you get that body camera on, we're going to subpoena that. He knows that. He's a law enforcement officer. He does this all day long.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Could I get just a cup of water or something like that? My throat is absolutely killing me.
I really only have one more question, and then I'll end this. You mentioned in the email the warrant on the FTARD is still active, correct?
Yes,
you said, who is that?
That's my wife's ex-husband.
You say it was a police. How did you know that it was still active? It's not the police.
Because you can go into the Citrus County website. It's a public website. He seemed upset with my wife. You can go in and actually see there's a tab there. You click active warrants.
Are you doing that at work?
You can do it at home or at work, either one.
Did you run it at work?
Did I run it? Well,
did you run your wife's ex-husband's on the Citrus County website while you're working or at home?
Well, I looked it up on the computer while I was at work.
Should you be looking up personal stuff on your computers while you're at work?
Personal stuff. It's a public website.
But
it's not like
it's a personal inquiry. I mean, that's your ex-wife, your wife's ex-husband.
That's $22,000 behind on child support.
Does she have access to her computer at home to be able to run that?
Yes, sir.
You didn't use any sheriff's office databases to run him?
We can't run. I don't understand what you mean by run.
Did you look up any information on your wife's ex-husband using sheriff's office equipment?
No, sir. We can't look up individual's information. The only thing we can look at is, like, for instance, if you go into the Citrus County Sheriff's Office website. Again, I apologize. My throat is freaking dry. But you can go into the Citrus County's public website, and there's a tab there. It's public information of saying active warrants.
Okay.
And his name was right at the top of the page.
I don't have any other questions.
I just got one final question for you, if that's okay, and then we'll be done. On the video during the traffic stop, reading straight from the transcription here, one statement you make, okay, we'll be sure to let my agency know that if we stop one of you guys, make sure you issue the ticket. And the next one is, I hope you know the next Pasco guy I stop, just to let you know. What did you mean by that? What was your intent of saying that?
There wasn't really any intent behind it. It's just I was just pissed off, and I said, and I let my mouth run away. I should not have done it. I should.
Let me stop you. I've heard that before. What I'm asking is, what was your intent in making that statement? Why did you say that?
I guess I was just playing a game for tit for tat, and I was pissed.
What were you hoping the outcome would be?
I knew there wasn't going to be any outcome. I knew I wasn't getting out of it. It's just it was a tit for tat stupid thing I should have never said. But I said it, and I wish I could take it back, but I can't.
Okay. Is there anything else that we haven't discussed that you would like to add? Now is your time.
Can I just get a drink of water before I start adding stuff? Because my throat is falling apart.
Sure. I'm just going to leave the recording on. Here's a bottle of water.
Oh, thank you.
Go ahead and make your statement about what you want to talk about. And do me a favor, keep it regarding to the investigation that we're talking about. If it gets to the fights with your neighbors and stuff, I may stop you, but its focus is in what we've discussed here today. Okay?
Okay, so so any of the stuff that regarding the neighbors that I had to review and that we've talked about, I can't try to rebut any of that, or
I had that in there because that's some of the Pasco material, but I'm not concerned about. I'm not concerned about your wife's driving. I'm mainly focused on your actions during that day, your statements that you've made to Pasco County Sheriff's Office, and your emails. That's the crux of this.
Okay, my emails, I completely agree with you. It's like it's emailing back and forth between friends at work. The language that was used, it's the language of the jail, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse because there is no excuse. And I accept full responsibility for that. I shouldn't be referring to people like that, but I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. And I did it. There's no sense in saying I didn't do it, but I did it. It's just the language of the jail.
Let me interrupt you. Anything you want to talk about, you know what, just go ahead and do it. So if you want to talk about that other stuff, go ahead and do it.
Okay. To really get an idea of how all this got started, the main thing goes back to when we first had the restraining order, or tried to get the restraining order done, when 3 of our neighbors followed my wife home. We came up into standing outside our driveway and threatened to murder her in front of her children. At that point, I was coming home from work. I drove up into the garage. I was upstairs getting undressed. My son comes running upstairs he's saying, Mommy, somebody's threatening to kill Mommy. So I'm like, what the hell? So I go downstairs. These people are livid. They're like, F you, the police, I'm going to effing kill you, I want to kill your family, I want to kill everybody. That's the whole basis of this.
Can I ask you something in regards to that?
Sure.
Do you think any of that falls upon the driving of your wife, the driving habits of your wife? Do you think there's any responsibility maybe in your wife's part of that would piss off the neighbors? I'm not agreeing if they're threatening to kill your family, buddy, let me tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you that's inappropriate. I'm right here with you, I'll tell you that's inappropriate.
And that's
but do you think people's emotions are high because of your wife's driving? Because I've seen how your wife interacts with a deputy and her attitude towards a deputy. So I would imagine that's probably the same way she's dealing with these people, because when I see the video, she about runs one of the neighbors off the road and honks the horn. She's squealing her tires. Let me phrase that. Your vehicle, we don't know who's driving. We don't know who's driving. There's a mystery driver in that vehicle.
That's definitely not my vehicle.
But it is. It's not dark. It's your car.
But
it's your car, sir. And I looked at the email that was sent to Sheriff G. There's no mention of a black SUV.
In the paperwork, there is. The paperwork that was
sent. And I've seen your car. I'm telling you right now, some people could construe that it is a dark-colored SUV, and it could be construed. I've seen it in real life. I've driven by your house. I know what it looks like. There's no mistaking that the neighbors know it's her. They've confronted. They've talked about it. The deputy went out there. Deputy Seltman with the Pasco County Sheriff's Office. You said nobody's talked to you about it. He actually went out to your house. He went out to your house on June 6, 2018. Your wife slammed the door in his face. It's right here in the report.
I didn't know that.
Hi, ma'am. How are you? So we got a call. I guess there was some speeding through the neighborhood.
They constantly accuse me of it, and it's bullshit. So.
Well, I saw a video today.
And? Unless you see me doing it, their video could be doctored.
I know. I'm just saying. I mean.
I've had a beef with them for almost a year.
Okay.
They could go fuck themselves. Okay. I'm not doing anything wrong. They call the police on me constantly. I don't care. I did nothing wrong. Unless you catch me, have a good night.
But that's the problem, Deputy Coker. You don't know all the facts, but you go off and get upset instead of being a fact finder. Okay? Instead of getting everything and taking an impartial view and overlooking everything, you get upset and you assume. Do you see how that's a problem? Do you see how that could be a problem? Do you feel that and you've already said your wife's behavior was not appropriate, right? You said your wife's behavior towards Deputy Aiken was not appropriate. Am I correct in that?
It was not appropriate.
Okay, so let me stop you. So based upon that, based upon the way she acted, based upon the neighbors seeing her, they videotaped it. I showed the videos in there.
So
I could see how the neighbors get pissed off. I could see that. I don't agree with them threatening your family. I absolutely don't agree that. But when 20 of your neighbors show up to an HOA meeting, generally those things, people are apathetic. They don't care. But they showed up, and it's all because of one person. Whether your wife's doing it or not, your neighborhood perceives you as the nightmare neighbors. It's very clear. That's not specifically what they said, but Lord knows we've all moved places. We're like, oh gosh, I hope our neighbors are decent people. Your neighbors don't like you. I get that.
I think hate is a better word.
There you go. But I got to tell you, with my kid, if my kid's playing on the side of the road and seeing your wife to drive the way that she is, I would really be upset. And I think that if it was your kids out there and somebody was driving the way, that you'd be really upset. I think you would.
Absolutely, I agree.
We're all dads in this room. We're all dads. And we do anything for our kids to protect our kids. Right?
Absolutely.
And so emotions get a little high by people when it comes to their kids. My question to you, okay, and I'll let you talk about all of this, but my question to you is, what is Dwayne Coker doing to maybe try to diffuse and settle this issue? You don't have to answer it, but think about it. I want to give you something to think about. What are you doing to diffuse this situation and maybe try to make peace in the neighborhood? Especially when they know that you're a deputy with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. And it's been brought up. And there's concerns. What if they legitimately do have fears about you being a deputy in retaliation? What if they do perceive that? Well, that's probably something we got to work on, right? Would you agree? We got to work on that because they shouldn't be afraid of a deputy.
Absolutely not.
We shouldn't be. We should be pillars of our communities. We should be upstanding citizens. We should want kids to come up and talk to us when they're upset. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're in the jail. It doesn't matter if you're on the street. You wear a white shirt and a badge. You're a deputy sheriff, and people in your community should look up to you.
I agree.
And so my question to you that you really need to think about: what is Dwayne Coker doing to ensure that there's peace in his neighborhood? Because right now, they don't like you. Your words, they hate you.
Right.
So
they threaten to murder me. So I'm not sure how much more hateful they can be.
So, is there anything that the Coker family can do to maybe try to let's ease off of that? You know, granted, I get it that you can't control what your wife says and does, but if she really is, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say that is her car. Let's say that is her driving that way. Maybe that's something we can improve on. If possible, maybe try talking to your wife. Maybe try making peace with the neighbors. And look, I'm sorry, we're frustrated. And instead of trying to threaten to kill each other and take each other to court and have a lynch mob against everybody in the neighborhood, maybe let's just kind of sit down, take a step back, take a deep breath, and let cooler heads prevail. That way nobody has neighbors that they hate. That way nobody's threatening to kill each other. But when we go tit for tat, that's when the problems start. Let's work it out. I'm sure you've had personal conflict with people, and that, you know what? We just got to talk this out, and things got better. You know, it may not be right away, but that's my point. Think about this. You don't have all the facts. You just said, I just talked to you about when Deputy Seltman came out. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. You were unaware of that.
I didn't even know that name. So
what if there are other things that are going on that you're not aware of? So all you see is this small view that your wife's telling you. Right? That your wife's telling you and you don't see all the facts. Think about that. What if you don't know all the facts, that you're only getting a minuscule part from your wife and that it's biased? Oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm not saying that your wife's lying to you, but she may not be disclosing everything to you, or you may be hearing alternative facts. So why don't we get big picture? Why don't we look at all the facts surrounding this and say, you know what? Clearly something is wrong for these people to come up and threaten my family. Something happened. Because people just don't randomly come up and threaten people like that. I assume you live in a decent neighborhood. I drove through there and it looks like a pretty nice neighborhood.
It's a very nice neighborhood.
So why, you got to ask yourself, why would people do that? Does that make sense to you?
Sure. That's exactly what you're saying.
So when I tell you that your personal life and your professional life have now bled into each other and it's mixed together, you got to do something to work on that. Whether you like it or not, you know, you got to do something about it. So, go ahead and finish what you want to say, sir. I'm sorry.
But at what point? I mean, if just one of these neighbors, because I drive home in uniform, if just one of these neighbors flagged me down, can I talk to you for a second? Could you please tell your wife to slow down? It's never happened. Never. Instead, they pick HOA meetings to go to. They send these videos that are suspect. You can't tell it's her driving. I mean, I know what you're saying, and maybe if for the fact that it's my wife, I'm just in too much of a hurry to take her side. It's very possible.
And that's understandable.
I mean, but it's my wife.
I get it.
And the main part of I know of is that I remember these people coming to our home and threatening to cut her effing throat right in front of our kids. So,
and that's unacceptable. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
And it's the same Pasco County Sheriff's Office that we called. We got pictures, we got video. Here she is. She's standing in front of our house. Even the Pasco deputy was like, "Oh, this is aggravated battery all day long." Nothing's done. Nothing.
Threatening that is not aggravated battery, but
I'm just telling you what I heard.
No
I'm just telling you what I was told.
But do you see how? Did you ever question on how it got to that point? Like, what happened prior? You ever question that? What if, devil's advocate, what if they went up and talked to your wife, and your wife just flat out laid into them? So they never talked to you, they talked to your wife, and hey, because if it's not you driving, and they see her driving, well, maybe they went up to you, or went up to her, and not you. Do you ever think of that?
No, sir.
So what if they did go up to your wife? And if your wife responded to them just like she did with that deputy, and it's continuous, are they going to come to you at that point, or are they just going to go, man, that lady is, we're not going to deal with her? Can you maybe see that scenario? I'm not saying that's what happened, but could you see that's a plausible scenario?
I see that as a plausible scenario.
And that's what I want you to start thinking about. Look, I get it, man. You're going to take your wife's side. You're going to take your... you want to believe your wife. You want to take everything she says as gospel. I get that. I respect that. Okay? But I think you need to be asking more questions. Because outside looking in, that we don't have these relationships. We're just two people right here looking at everything, big picture, outside looking in. I can tell you that this whole thing is probably over your wife's driving. Or whoever's driving that car. And so... they may be mean, nasty people. They may be people, if they threaten to kill your family, slit her throat, cut her in front of your kids. I got to tell you, that would piss me off beyond... I would be aggravated. And I got to tell you, as probably as a husband and as a father, I would be extremely upset, and I'm right there with you. So I'm not arguing with you that you shouldn't be upset that they said that. I firmly believe that you should be upset, and you're trying to protect your family and do right by your family. I get that, man. But you got to look at big picture and how did it get to that point? And that's what I'm trying to drive home with you.
I completely see where you're coming from. It's like, because, I mean, there's something I feel like I have to say. It's when I first got here this morning, and I told you I've got that knot in my stomach.
Yes, sir.
And I'm puking and I can't sleep. It's because I am so torn. I mean, a part of me knows. I mean, I wish I could explain it better, but there's a part of me that knows that that phone call I made, I swear to God, I wish I never got involved. But I thought I was helping her. I thought that they were ganging up on her based on all this. I thought she was being ganged up on. She told me there's no way the guy saw her run anything. So I just saw it as just a bullying attempt. And I got involved in something and it just ran out of control. And that has caused the biggest knot in my freaking stomach. It's not the nervousness of sitting in front of you guys, because I'm going to sit here and tell the truth. It's that. Because I did something that in my mind, I know it's wrong. And it's just eating me alive inside. And that's the God's honest truth. Because I know what I did was wrong. But I can't not side with my wife. I've got to believe my wife. But I'm asking myself, did I believe her too much and get way in over my freaking head? Which absolutely I did, and it's eating me alive that I took it to a point where I never should have taken it.
Dwayne, I told you earlier that I felt that you were giving me a canned response. that's the first time that I felt that that's a true emotional, heartfelt response.
It's eating me alive. It is absolutely, that's what's eating me alive. And that's the truth.
I don't doubt
I mean, and I realize I probably just hung myself on tape saying that, but I can't walk out of here knowing that's it. That's what's causing the sleepless nights. That's what's causing the knot in my stomach. That's what caused me to throw up before I came over here. It's because I'm afraid of what I've done. I've done something, and I took it to a point where it never should have went. Yes, did I perceive some of the stuff that he was doing? It's all in perception. I get it. I didn't hear her say that. If she would have said that, I would have apologized instantly to that deputy for that kind of language, because absolutely we don't. No, that's beyond. But I mean, I have to side with my wife. But I look at this stuff and I look at that body camera, and then I hear this, what you were telling me about the other deputy coming to my home, and she slammed the door in his face. I didn't freaking know about that. I wish he would have waited outside my damn house and said, "Hey man, can I talk to you for a second?" But it's like, so what do I do? Do I go to my wife and tell her, "You need to freaking slow down"? And then she's just going to look at me and go, "You need to mind your own business." Or go, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that day is eating me alive because I got involved in something I should have never got involved in. And then once I got involved in it, it ran out of control. It was like a runaway train. And I apologize, and I apologize, and I apologize. And I swear to God, if I could, I would allow you to cut off one of my freaking fingers, because I feel so horrible inside for the direction this went.
Dwayne, I can't tell you what to do at home, man. I really can't. That's something between you and your wife, and I feel for you. And man, I would hope that I never have to be in your shoes. I hope that doesn't come across as bad, but I don't know what to tell you, man. That bell's been rung, and you know, and we can't unring it. And it's just what we do from this point on is how you know how.
And you're right. The bell can't be unrung. I accept full responsibility for my actions. And if I could redo it again, I would have just said, "This is on you," and I would have walked my ass back inside. But I didn't, and I ran off for some perceptions. I don't know.
Dwayne, is there anything else that you want to discuss before we conclude this interview?
No, sir. Not that I can think of. Not that we haven't already discussed, no, sir.
Then I'll conclude this interview at 13:44 hours.
Dang, I'm sorry about that.
Hey,
She is just.
I don't.
Yeah. She was upset when I got here.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how upset she was before.
She was pretty upset.
The biggest issue is there are kids. It's a small road. There's not much space. And when she drives down, some feel that she's driving too fast. I don't have any evidence to say she's driving too fast. I've seen a video of her stopping abruptly and not hitting a child, but she was able to stop. Things happen, you know. But all of her actions point to her being the one upset. Because when I got here, she was angry.
I appreciate you guys not putting her in cuffs, because that could have happened. I know that, and you know that.
Yeah, and it just seems to me you're trying to keep the peace. I get it. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. But
basically, what's been happening for the last couple of months is I don't know if you're aware of it, but the neighbors are complaining that she's speeding up and down the road. And this is what I was asking you guys when I came in, because I knew it was we do this all the time, you know.
Yeah.
It was leading to that. It's going to be that. We talked to 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 people that all tells us the same story. Now, when we talked to the other half, the people that made contact with you guys up front here, they came down to talk to you guys. But they are the ones that said when your wife was coming in and when he was saying slow down, it's like she said they jumped in front of the car. He's on the side of the road just saying slow down. And then your wife is giving the middle finger saying F you. And what do we see when we come in here when we start talking to her? She's still doing the F you stuff.
But in her defense,
Well, yeah.
Under an enormous amount of stress.
Like, no, she was upset because, I mean,
You know, like
defense,
outside of this,
Yeah.
is there other stress?
not that I can think of, the normal stuff for work and kids, big bills.
I mean, she does this for a living, but you know, we don't see it all coming on. It just comes on over a period of time, and these are good signs.
But in her defense, though, this lady did follow her down there. The other lady was pretty wound up too. And she did threaten me as well.
And
that's my biggest.
She's got the same. Right. She's got the same speech that she was threatened as well. Her kids were threatened to be run over.
She had threatened to run the kids over.
Not good. Not good.
What can I do for you?
I was coming home from an event, coming down my street, and a neighbor, never seen him before, jumps in front of my car waving, and I weaved around him. I came home. He had just gotten home. I pulled in. My dog squirted out the door, so I came out running. I wheeled my trash down, and him and his wife come running and accosted me. The wife threatened to kill me and had wielded a broom at me.
She had a broom
She had a
above her.
broom above her head, threatening to kill me.
How far away was she from you? All right, about that close. Okay. Did so when she was holding it, like both hands above her head?
Yes, both hands above her head, said, "I'm going to fucking kill you." I want her arrested. The only thing I could think of, they are horrible. I hate to say, they're horrible parents. Suits, playing in the street. I almost ran one over a couple weeks ago because there's no parents. They don't supervise their kids. Their kids are never supervised. And my daughter can testify this.
Have you called in the abuse hotline for that?
No, I'm a psychologist.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what am I going to do?
She had threatened to run the kids over.
She didn't hear you.
And I mean, she's not telling you the whole. I don't think she's telling you the whole story.
I mean, granted, I was upstairs when all this stuff broke loose. And my first contact with it was my son coming upstairs when there's some lady screaming the N-word at mommy. And I was like,
And she's got no problem cursing around everybody.
I mean, I can't argue with that. You just saw that.
Yeah.
That's why I got in, and I was telling
And everybody says the cursing coming from your wife. Everybody that we talk to today.
And that's what I ask, you know, just, I mean, we're all on a stressful job. Maybe she's not really identifying that because this is what she does.
Right.
You know, doctors are the worst patients. You know?
I'm not going to argue with you there. I'm not going to argue with you.
You know? I mean, I would hate for something worse to happen.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
You know, and she's not going to be receptive to me because I already lost my cool in there, but,
well, I appreciate the fact that you kept your cool.
Yeah.
Because I know how it feels when you get somebody barking at you in the face. You're like, oh, hell, I'm not going to yell at you.
I mean, we spent nearly 3 hours.
I know. And I appreciate all the effort you went into. When I go back inside right now, I'm telling you, you could be in the back of that car. Very easy. You're barking at them like that. You were. I mean, you're out of control.
Well, she's saying we're not doing anything. There is going to be a report written.
I know.
But
I want you to explain that to me.
But there is not going to be no arrest. It's an ongoing neighborhood dispute.
The report number on it. So
my main concern is when I'm not here, these people following everything. And this time, you know, vandalizing your car, vandalizing your house, you know, something like that.
I really don't think that's going to happen. I mean, we talked to all these people. They're just like you. They're nice. They're like us. They just want to talk.
They want peace in their
neighborhood.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we live here.
And I think, you know, just as an outsider, not living here, I think that everybody got upset because their peace is being interrupted by her driving by and, you know, her potentially giving the bird and kids as well.
Right.
And then her peace is interrupted when they're coming down here and wanting to confront her about that.
Right. I mean, I know there's
nothing happened here.
Right.
Other than, you know, everybody's filled out some reports and, you know, feelings were hurt.
Right.
But I wouldn't want it to escalate to where someone lost their cool.
Somebody does.
And then someone does get hurt, then
it's stemming off that stop sign.
Okay. No, they're sending the supervisor because I'm extremely dissatisfied with the service.
Okay.
But you have to, I mean, I'm caught in the middle here. I can sympathize with you guys.
No,
but I gotta.
And then you got your wife. You got to.
Yeah, this is your family.
I know.
You know, I respect that.
And that's why these people are losing their cool out here. Slow down. Sir, you get a hold of your wife. I'll get a hold of my wife. Just keep these two females separated. Yeah.
And just to let you know, interaction with everybody, it's all recorded. So, I mean,
I know. I see the.
just will you let her know that? Just
Yeah. You know how it is. When it never goes.
I know.
You're not thinking about recording devices. You're not thinking about. See it all the time.
All right. Well, my supervisor hasn't called me, so I don't know what she's talking about. So let me.
I'll get a business card with the case number, and then I'll start entering information, and then see if
we'll go from there.
All right, man.
All right. Thank you.
You
Sorry.
guys be safe, man.
He's got a camera there, did you?
We're talking out here, and I saw her here, but I never saw her with a broom above her head. I didn't see the guy either.
I think the gentleman was shooing his wife into the house, and then the lady was yelling
The guy
at
wearing
them.
white?
Yeah, wearing white. She said that he was a sheriff. So as she was driving, that she was going to run over the children, threatened to run them over. Then another lady came walking in with her phone, and she was like, I heard it too. I heard her say it. That's why I went to go get my phone, because she had threatened the kid.
The mom, threatened them that she was going to run them over next time, because she said that she pulled back the car, then pulled front, then pulled back, that she was going to run them over.
So just holding it. And
Yeah, she wasn't going to swing her out.
she didn't have it like she was getting ready to knock a baseball out.
No, she was like, well, when I came out, she was actually outside of their driveway.
With my investigation, I'll come back and let you know, okay?
I mean,
Where do you work for?
for Pasco,
No, what do you do there?
I'm a psychologist.
Do you work at the headquarters?
No, at the jail. I work for Pasco and Hillsborough County.
Okay.
Sure, I work Falkenberg, Orient, and Land O'Lakes Jail.
All right, so you deal with a lot of inmates?
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't expect the crazy in this neighborhood, but
Okay.
oh, I'm sure everybody here heard screaming. But I want her arrested if at all possible. I mean, she threatened to kill me. You know.
Tell her she's going to run my kids over, going to run me over, back up, run them over again.
Have a good night.
I'm a doctor, and I will have a beautiful home and a beautiful everything. And you never will. I bet you live in a trailer.
No, ma'am.
No? Where do you live?
I live in a house.
A house? Your mom's house?
No.
I bet you do. I bet you live with mommy.
I don't have any family in Florida.
Well,
Kathy?
no, Dr. Coker.
I'm sorry?
I'm Dr. Coker.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna leave. You're gonna go to jail. Which one do you want it to be?
I'll go to jail.
You wanna go to jail?
Yeah.
We used to work at the jail someday. Yeah, so she didn't decide to leave on the trespass, so now she's heading to our beautiful detention center, and I don't have anybody working there right now that's going to book her in, so I need you to head on over and help me out. I'm not kidding, so give me your number because the deputy's got to roll, and I got to call you back on my phone. So I used to run the Pasco County Detention Center's mental health department up until last month when I decided to go private practice. So, that's my baby. That's my jam. I was there for 3 years. I created all of the behavioral health unit, the B-HIT team, all that shit. Created all of that. So, it is what it is. And if you say Stephanie, they're going to know who I am anyway. So, It is what it is. She used to work there as a mental health person as well. So, she hasn't in a while because we pulled her security clearance.
Bye.